Hi, hello everyone. How are you? Make sure this is on the right one. That's not gonna spoil anything. Okay, good. And then we'll put on the little music. This one I think. Okay. Hi, hello, welcome in. Congrats on getting first Guido. Congrats on getting second Fossil. Congrats on getting third Ryza.
Prepare to be humiliated.
Yeah, I am a little bit humiliated because so let me just like explain why this is starting 2.5 hours late. Because at some point, I mean, it's just been a comedy of errors today. I'd been planning on like spending last night getting a lot of stuff set up, and then I didn't because I ended up spending time with my family because it was my sister's birthday, so we did a paint night thing and all that stuff. It was a good time, but it meant that I got back really late, so I didn't have time to work on the stuff that I wanted to, and I was like, it's fine, it'll all be figured out. And it turns out, no. I don't know what happened to my Google Doc with like the script for this, like the plan. So I've rewritten everything in the last couple of hours, last few hours, pretty much since like 1 o'clock. That's what I've been doing. And then Streamlabs decided that it actually didn't like the scene that I made for this, so I had to go back to the Fall of Hope scene and just replace every single Fall of Hope thing with this. Like, there's still the background for that one is still visible behind here. I just had to like put the new one on top of it. That's the current state of things right now. Yeah. So I do sincerely apologize for being late. I know that there are people from a lot of different time zones who were part of this, who wanted to be here, and I am very, very sorry that this has kind of thrown people off. It's been a journey, but we're here now. Also, let me just check the chat. Hi, Loony. Hi, Fossil. I can't wait to see who kills who. It'll be so fun. Hi, Bonnie. How are you? Hi, Helicopter. Hi, Cleric. What else is here? Hi, Corito. Hi, Mint. I think we got everyone. Hi, Ophelia. Okay, so yeah, so again, we won't do a whole big long intro this time because last time we went for like 20 minutes of just talking about how it works. I do love seeing everybody predicting how it's going to go for them, because I was saying this to Loony, because Loony has been consistently like, I'm going to die first and I'm going to be sad. And I'm like, why do you all think that you die first? This isn't even a skill-based competition. This isn't really anything. Everybody's so self-defeating. So, okay, fair. Also, hi, Julian. Yeah, so this time we've got a new crew. For those who don't remember the last time or who weren't here or who want to go watch the VoD, actually, I should have the... Hold on, let me pin that. Forgot to pin anything, but we're going to pin... I'll put this here. Oh god, I can't pin it. There we go. Manually unpinned. Okay. So, that kosher? Probably. Anyways, so for people who were here last time, you will recall that 19 people entered, 6 left. One of those people was a mastermind, and all 6 of them are going to be joining the Summertime Stars group. That's going to be the same, or that's going to be true for this group as well. 19 people start. We're going to keep going until we end up with just 6. We'll see if the mastermind is part of them. Who knows? I'm very excited for this group. This is part of why I was kind of depressed that it like deleted all my progress and shit, because I was really happy with how this one turned out, and I was a little bit worried afterwards. I was like, oh shit, is this not going to be... I remembered the details and probably added in more this time, which is why it took longer. Actually, let me check and see. How long did this one end up being? Because the original one was like a little bit shorter than last time. I think it was like 9k words. This one's 14,000. Okay, so that's actually like a lot of extra words. Whoops. Anyways, we're going to pretend that it's not that dumb. But the mastermind was for Bogey. Of course it was. Yeah, so this group, we've got a diverse range of people, I would say. A diverse range of designs. Some big boob men, for sure. But also some silly cartoon dogs. Some people who have human proportions. Everyone's included. So really quickly, I'm just gonna run through like the list of people, introduce everyone and their names. Also, if you want to learn more about the people who are in this, the name commands are still working. So for example, for Loony, you can just type an exclamation point Loony. For Ryza, you can put in Ryza. I think I also put in Captain Ryza, but I do know I put Ryza. Seeing mspaint dog. Yeah, so to address the mspaint dog in the room, there is a fossil, which is certainly interesting. It's For everybody, let's just say that. God damn it. Hi, Yeti. Yeah, okay, so our 13 ultimates for this group are Loony Frinkelboom, the ultimate Jokester, Xabi Xyn, the ultimate Lapdancer, Silvy Spark, the ultimate Himbo, Fossil, the ultimate Silly Puppy with 9 exclamation points. This is important. I think it might actually be 11 in some of these. I might have gotten confused. Rioku Platinum, the ultimate MMA Fighter, Tenshi, the ultimate Rapper, Vyke, the ultimate Yandere, Brielle Foxfire, the ultimate Information Broker, Hikaru Hayashi, the ultimate Broker, Arya, the ultimate Siren, Starra Ni, the ultimate Bard, Baozi, the ultimate Artist, Captain Ryza, the ultimate Swashbuckler, Bonnie Gill, the ultimate Herbalist, Puffy, the ultimate Sangomancer, Corridor Arvos, the ultimate Alien, Tetris Citadel, the ultimate Ornithologist, Maylin, the ultimate Exorcist, and Julian C. Valentine, the ultimate Monarch. False Life wasn't killed. Who knows? Who can say? Everybody is so creative. Yeah, okay, so I don't know if there's really anything to like say about the start of this because I want to get into it soon because I apologize for being really late, but we shall see. But yes, everyone's artists where I have them are credited. Some people's artists are not on social media, so we just don't have one. There's not one for me. I need to set one up for the Summertime Stars one, but we got time. Anyways, all my credits are down there anyways. No shouting me out. Bad. Anyways, Ultimate Yandere, sorry. Okay, so also something I should mention, just like last time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do predictions. God damn it. I'm gonna ban you guys. We're gonna do predictions. We're not gonna predict who dies, because again, as anyone who was here last time remembers, the simulation really loves a double kill or two, and there's no way to have like a prediction for a double kill really in there. I mean, I guess we could just do the prediction. Is it gonna be 1 or 2 dead? That might be fun. You're one artist. Hell yeah, man. But yeah, that might be fun to actually predict. Is it gonna be 1 or 2 deaths? But I think we'll maybe just, we'll wait and see. We will do predictions for the blackened though, because there will always be a blackened. Yeah, I think we're mostly ready to start. Let me see. What's the timer on this? Okay. So if everyone else is ready, I'm ready. Let's do this. So, to set the scene a little bit, the mise en scène, this group, Frozen Frenzy, their setting is not a school. They are on a field trip to a luxury ski resort. Think like multi-story building, very, very fancy, but they're all by themselves. Broker and info broker, basically the same thing. They both broker information. And you might be thinking, huh, that's a little weird. Those are similar abilities. And you would be correct. But anyways, so, excuse me. We shall see. Yes, they're at a luxury ski resort up in the mountains, isolated from everyone. It's very cold, but it is a very fancy resort that has all the amenities available to them. One thing that's unique about this one is that they're going to have their ultimate labs, which you might remember from V3 as sort of a thing, where everyone has a lab that's based around their own abilities and stuff like that. Mostly because I couldn't think of what else to put in a fucking ski lodge. But that'll be part of this one. The rules are just like last time. The game continues until either the mastermind gets killed by someone, a killer manages to survive a class trial, or until there are only 6 survivors remaining, whichever comes first. The Ultimates will live in the Ultimate Lodge, a massive facility decked out with all the classic top tier amenities, as well as Ultimate Labs to keep the Ultimate sharp. I'm still working out a new host for the game, or auditioning people, I guess. I don't know. But for now, announcements will continue being issued in universe via the TikTok text-to-speech voice. Just pretend that I can do that. Same rules apply as typical Danganronpa. 3 people must be present to identify a body. The killer must survive a class trial to escape, etc. If there is a tie vote and one of the people in the tie is the murderer, then it will be considered a successful vote and the blackened will be executed. So, are we ready? I sure hope so, because I don't know what else to do if we're not. Okay. Anyways. This is so true. But okay. So, day 1 at the Ultimate Lodge. Upon arriving, most of the Ultimates scatter to explore the facility. Unlike with the Fall of Hope the previous season, the Frozen Frenzy cast is a lot more prepared for what they're about to experience. They were sequestered for the duration of the Fall of Hope and watched the entire thing themselves, meaning that they already know a bit of what to watch out for, and they've had the time to process their nerves and progress past that initial timidness that the previous cast experienced, meaning that many of them are ready to hit the ground running. And as we get right to it, some early friendships start to form. For starters, Mei, worried about how her ultimate will be perceived as a threat potentially by someone who might be able to communicate with the spirits, chooses to introduce herself to everyone as the ultimate big sister instead of the ultimate exorcist. Everyone else introduces themselves using their actual abilities, at least to the best of everyone's knowledge, with Hikaru and Brielle raising some eyebrows after they reveal that they both have functionally the same ultimate, something that shouldn't really be possible. Loony, the ultimate jokester, and Fossil, the ultimate silly puppy, connect quickly, relieved to see that they're not the only literal dog on their season. Xabi makes his ability as the ultimate Lapdancer known immediately to Tenshi, Silvy, and Julian, making it clear that his ultimate lab is open to them if they'd be willing to help him practice his skills. Puffy approaches Xabi to offer to help as well, and while Xabi is initially skeptical of the ultimate Sangomancer, given that he does seem admittedly a little terrifying, and his ability seems a little scary, he quickly comes around to him and they go to break in the lab. Tenshi, the ultimate rapper, ends up connecting with Starra, the ultimate bard, given their shared interest in music. Hi, Henrik. The ultimate artist, Mint, joins them hoping that their music might inspire his art. Silvy, the ultimate Himbo, and Rioku, the ultimate MMA fighter, also connect. After all, as they saw last season, it doesn't necessarily hurt for the strong ones to have a friend they can train with. At least, it doesn't hurt until later. Julian, the ultimate monarch, joins them. Arya, Tetris, and Ryza, the ultimate siren, ornithologist, and swashbuckler respectively, end up spending some time together. No details will be provided about that one. Brielle and Hikaru meet up to discuss their ultimates, since they're functionally identical, which really shouldn't happen. But any results they get out of that might not be known till later. Vyke, the ultimate Yandere, ends up meeting up with Mei for a bit. And lastly, Bonnie joins Kirito in his ultimate lab to discuss the fauna that he's found around the worlds he's experienced. I've had a thought. That's a scary thing. I don't do that. Zombies. Look, Zombies one cracks me up for a lot of reasons. It's really good art, but it is like a side piece, and it's one of the funniest things to me. Like, anyone who knows Gasai, like, I got a piece from Gasai around the same time. Love Gasai's work. It's so good. But tends to do already exaggerated proportions. So I was like, when Zabi was like, mentioned that he'd gone to Slot 2, I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. But then Zabi showed me it and was like, showed me the initial piece that he got, and he was like, okay, but I told him to make the ass and the titties bigger. And I was like, Zabi, what are you doing? Anyways, also, as I mentioned before, this isn't like, all of this is done through a simulation on brandsteel.com. The simulation only decides who died, who killed them, and how everyone voted. Everything else is text that I've added around it to try and tell a story, to give you guys hints about where we're going, what's happening, and just make it a little bit more interesting. Inflationary. Basically. Anyways, they spend day one getting to know each other a bit, exploring the labs, exploring the whole facility. It's a good time. But after a long day, the Ultimates head to bed. Hell yeah. During breakfast on morning 2, the Ultimates continue to make friends. Last season, the cast was scattered, scared, and disoriented. This time, everyone's seen the danger of rocking the boat too early, so they're making a calculated effort not to stir up drama. At least, not in a way that might put a target on their own backs. Doesn't mean they're not scheming. As the day progresses, the Ultimates continue to get to know each other, and before long, all pretense of small talk is discarded as the pressing questions start to bubble to the surface. Who did this to them? Why are they doing it? How is this allowed, and why is nobody saving them? Nobody had an answer to any of those, but that didn't stop the speculation, especially around the who question. Last season, the mastermind was seemingly never found, but the rule still stands that killing the mastermind ends the game. So, who's the mastermind? Without knowing who it was in the Fall of Hope, the Ultimates end up not really sure who would fit the category, but plenty of names are still thrown around, because what else is there to do but make shit up? Starra seems pretty wholesome, but maybe almost too wholesome. Maybe it's all an act to deflect suspicion. Silvy might not be a mastermind, but that doesn't mean he's not dangerous. Last time, it was a Himbo that kicked off the killing games after all.
I have a feeling that I'm in danger.
Henrik, I think you've been in danger. I mean, I guess you're no longer in danger. Anyways, Ryza, meanwhile, is a pirate. Surely someone like that would be willing to play the mastermind if the pay was right. Right? Arya, meanwhile, is a siren, and the whole thing with sirens is that they can use their songs to manipulate people. Maybe even manipulate them into killing each other. Tetris, on the other hand, seems a little too braggadocious. More than one Ultimate raises the concern that it seems like he's putting on a character. I mean, maybe he's just like that, but it seems like he's maybe just trying to seem eccentric and harmless to mask his machinations. Kirito, meanwhile, is a literal alien. Maybe the whole killing game was being put on by aliens to test humanity or something. Xabi's efforts to immediately saddle up to all the strongest, beefiest men in the cast might just be some hoe behavior, but what if he's just trying to seem harmless while manipulating everyone? Loony, on the other hand, is objectively a terrifying concept, and no one seems to be appropriately concerned about a living, breathing cartoon that's just, like, there. Does that make him the mastermind? Honestly, maybe. He clearly has some abilities. Mei, on the other hand, has refused to allow anyone into her lab, raising suspicions that she might be hiding her true ultimate. And who knows, maybe the Ultimate Mastermind is a real title someone could have. Lastly, Tenshi just kind of seems like he could really not give less of a fuck if anyone else survived the game as long as he did. And also has that giant fuck-off bladed fan thing as a weapon despite being a rapper, which just seems like a little bit weird. That's maybe a bit extra, but maybe Tenshi's just a bit extra. So far, it's all just speculation though. Nobody has any concrete evidence to point to, and nothing's even really happened so far. Plus, if there really is a mastermind, surely they would also be starting...
The LGBT community is rich in sensibility,
God
has
damn it.
excellent taste, and is full of talented artistic people.
Surely they would be starting rumors to deflect from themselves, so it's possible they're all being led on a wild goose chase. If anything, it's mostly just idle chit-chat to fill time waiting for something to happen. Thank you for the jacket, Redeemed Monarch. Either an incentive, or a murder. As day turns to night on day 2, most of the roster heads to bed, with a couple of exceptions. Puffy and Ryza spend some time together in the cellar. Tetris and Arya chat in the hot tub. Vyke and Mei meet up in his ultimate lab, and Julian meets with both Brielle and Hikaru, hoping to form a bit of a working relationship. As the day rises for morning 3, at breakfast, the announcement they've been waiting for finally comes through. It's time for the first motive. However, before the motive can even begin to be explained, Vyke rushes out of the room holding his head, seemingly struggling to stay calm. The rest of the Ultimates, a little bit confused and concerned, stick around anyways to hear the explanation. Overnight, an immunity badge was hidden somewhere around the lodge. This badge, once found, can be used at the end of the investigation period, but before the class trial begins to negate all votes against the user if they're the Blackened. Anyone is allowed to claim they have the badge if they want, but whoever finds it cannot show it to anyone or give it away. Others are allowed to steal it though, either from a living or dead ultimate. The badge can be used at any trial in the game, but if the holder is able to win the game without using it, either by surviving a class trial as the Blackened or by making it to the top 6, they'll win an extra $10 million on their way out the door. Immediately, the cast scrambles to search the lodge. Immunity is on the line. The Ultimates scatter, wary of being anywhere near anyone else in case they happen to find the badge and become a target. The alliances that have begun to form are already shaky. However, in all the chaos, there are some cooler heads that are prevailing. It's chocolate. Yeah, someone's gonna have to apologize to Katy Perry. Or actually, no one has to apologize to Katy Perry at this point. You have to apologize if you don't disrespect the image of Katy Perry at this point. Anyways. Some cooler heads are prevailing regardless. Starra and Mint, both deciding that the badge is a greater risk than reward, decide to stay together and just chat for a bit. Julian, Hikaru, and Brielle, meanwhile, are working less on finding the badge themselves and more on observing the others to see if they can identify whoever actually does find it. Then, maybe just take it off of them. Loony decides that the badge probably isn't real after all, and is just a trick to get them to turn on each other. And while some people agree with Loony, there's no harm in looking, right? While the search goes deep into the night, eventually the Ultimates each retire to their rooms to sleep. There'll be time to look again tomorrow. On the morning of day 4, as the Ultimates file back in for breakfast, there are a handful of absences. Vyke, Fossil, Hikaru, Brielle, and Mint are all seemingly nowhere to be found. While some of the Ultimates are a little bit anxious, given how the Fall of Hope started out with some people going missing and all of a sudden, crushed Bun Boy. Including Loony, Bonnie, Tenshi, and Julian specifically, the rest of the roster is generally pretty confident that they're either just sleeping in or got a head start looking for the badge. After breakfast, Starra finds Mint in his room, and Mint claims to have slept in and just forgotten all about the badge. Julian meets up with Hikaru and Brielle to discuss their findings, which are nothing so far. Great information brokers here. Loony finds Fossil in the Ultimate Lab, where he's practicing escaping a microwave. Vyke, however, is seemingly nowhere in the mansion, raising concerns further. Arya, Ryza, and Puffy all find Mei and ask if she knows anything, given that they'd been spending time together. But she says the last time that she saw him had been while they'd been searching together searching yesterday, not together. When the group gathers for lunch, Xabi remembers something about the announcement. The announcer specifically said the badge was hidden around the lodge. Maybe the man was actually outside? The group quickly rushes outside where the cold air bites at them. May informs them that the producers had provided jackets and gloves for going outside, and as they go to put them on, they notice there are only 18 sets. Vyke's winter clothes are missing. Wish there was a way to fade that out. Fearing the worst, the cast splits up to search the area. However, it doesn't take long before Starra's scream from the top of the nearby slope catches everyone's attention. As everyone rushes up, their worst fears are confirmed when the body discovery announcement is played. That's right. Vyke, the ultimate Yandere, has been found spread eagle, face up at the top of the slope, with a small amount of snow piled up around him. The time of death is confirmed to have been sometime in the night, but nothing more specific. The cause of death, meanwhile, is not confirmed. The only details provided in the files is that he was found with blue lips and did not appear to have struggled given the lack of wounds. The immunity badge is not found on his body, suggesting he either didn't find it or was taken off of him. Spread eagle, like, wearing a winter jacket. Calm down. This is a serious moment, you guys. Someone's been murdered. Anyways, before long, it's time for the class trial. Where's my class trial music in here? There we go. Okay. You guys are absurd. Yeah, like he's making a snow angel, guys. Take this as a brick, but I couldn't find one. That's so valid, Fossil. Doesn't it hit a twink with a rock Thursday? Anyways, so also hi Nyansume, didn't see you earlier, welcome in. Yeah, so a little bit of snow piled up around the body, like think like it wasn't snowing, but there's like wind coming in and kind of pushing it in sort of thing. Anyways, Starra kicks off the class trial by trying to lay out a timeline of events. At some point yesterday, May said that she saw Vyke while they were searching the lodge for the badge, and asks her what time that happened at. May said that it was in the cellar, but she couldn't remember the exact time of day, given that she just, was there for a while, and all he did was enter, see her, and then leave to go search elsewhere. Obviously not wanting to be around someone else. Ryza confirms that he saw Vyke go down to the cellar, but didn't see when he came back up. But also he was just busy looking himself, to which Arya says that she had seen Vyke around the kitchen later in the afternoon. Also, I feel like the audio might be loud. It might just be me, though. I don't know if the audio isn't good. We'll fix what we can. Oh yeah, no, that's right. We were going to do the prediction. I forgot. Hold on. Audio's perfect. Awesome. Okay. Who is the... Hi, Hikaru. Welcome in. We just got started. There's been a discovered body. Also, let me just really quickly... Let's sort out who I'm going to include, because I did mention a list of people who were suspicious earlier, and I kept that to 10 because last time it was also a little bit weird. We can't have more than 10 people in a prediction. So we'll just list those 10 people, which were Starra, Silvy, Ryza, Arya, Petrus, Corito, Xabi, Loony, May, and Tenshi. Leaves open for... We'll leave them for like 10 minutes and we'll see what happens. We'll end the prediction when I feel like we need to. But yeah, okay. You can vote up there. See who you think it is. It is one of those 10 people. That's all I'll say. Because last time I felt a little bit bad that we were doing the other. We'll still end up doing the guess for other next... or for later ones. But anyways. So, yes. Definitely dead. Fossil does confirm to the rest of the class trial that there was, in fact, a dead body. And that they weren't just blue-lipped on the top of a mountain for fun. Does he have a doctor? Froze to death looking for the immunity badge? Maybe. Anyways, So Starra continues, saying that it seems as though Vyke was spotted alive multiple times throughout the day, and also presents the argument that Vyke was most likely killed in the place where they found him. The area was mostly cleared after all, and there was a small amount of snow built up around him, indicating he'd been left out there throughout the night. However, the question remains, why was he outside to begin with? Julian asks if anyone else had thought to search outside before Xabi had mentioned it that day, to which everyone shakes their heads. However, Arya realizes that something's been bothering her for a second. How did May know about the outdoor clothing? Nobody else had been told about that. May responded that, as the ultimate big sister, she'd just been looking out for everybody, and so would ask the producers to provide outdoor clothing. Tetris interrupts, saying that seems like an awfully big ask to make without telling anyone. When was that request made? May said that it happened on the first night, when she looked out the window and seen a blizzard forming. Tenshi jumps in to ask if she told anyone else about the outdoor clothing, to which May says no. Fossil then suggests that it might be important to consider how the body was found. Welcome in, HMG. Thank you for the follow. Anyway, sorry. Fossil then suggests that it might be important to consider how the body was found. If Starra is correct about the body being found where the murder happened, and Vyke's body had been in that spread-eagled position when murdered, it begs the question of who would do something like that. Bonnie asks if it's possible that Vyke was the victim of some sort of ritual, perhaps. Puffy immediately interjects, saying that Bonnie's clearly trying to point the finger at him as the ultimate Sangomancer, but saying that it couldn't have been him. There was no injury that would suggest bloodletting, and any rituals he would perform with blood only really work if the blood is outside of the body. Kirito brings up that there is no confirmation of the cause of death, to which May scoffs and says it was obviously the cold. But Hikaru rejects this idea, saying that if it was obviously the cold, then the evidence documents would have just said so. The lack of confirmation is proof that there is more to this story. Bonnie says the only guarantee that they do have is the blue lips, which could be the result of suffocation or strangulation. But May points out that strangulation and suffocation are both slow, agonizing deaths. Surely there would have been some struggling, but Vyke went out without a fight. Then Rioku asks if the reason Vyke didn't fight back was maybe that he couldn't. Maybe he was drugged. Maybe by the herbalist who keeps trying to point the finger. Bonnie retorts that that makes no sense. She and Vyke haven't really spoken at all, or hadn't, I guess there's not really a chance to do it again, and she's too small to either carry him up the mountain or force him up there. If we assumed he was killed up there, it was by someone who could get him up there one way or another. So who could have? May points to Xabi, Silvy, Rioku, Tenshi, and Julian as all being strong enough to carry him up there, but Tenshi shuts her down. Even if any of them could have carried him, he didn't struggle. It must have been someone that he trusted. And Tenshi goes a step further, arguing the only person who had a bond with him is May. Mint also jumps in, pointing out that everyone assumed that Puffy was the only one who could perform a ritual. But May has kept her ultimate lab locked tight. What if she's not the ultimate big sister? What if she would actually be able to? May begins to make the case to defend herself, but before she can get more than a couple words out, the announcement interrupts her. It's time to vote.
Isn't there room for both of us?
Thank you, Anima. May pleads for more time to make her case, but unfortunately for her, the voting tablets activate and demand a choice be made. Alright. We'll give everyone a second to vote. Make your choices, make your calls. Hey Draco, thank you for the lurk. You're so smart, Mint. But yeah, what is the voting looking like? Let me see, hold on. We'll end it in another 20 or so seconds. So I surf with my tablet? No. Unfortunately, these tablets do not have access to the internet. Well, thank you, Jaco. I appreciate it. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll end the submissions there. So let me just read out the predictions real quick. We have... if it will ever work. There we go. One person has voted for Starra, a total of 10 points. Silvy has no votes against him. Ryza has one person voting against him. Arya and Tetris both have no voters. Kirito has 23% of the vote with 3 people voting, or 23% of the points gambled, I should say. Maybe start. Xabi has 1% of the vote. Loony has 51%, which I think is... Get fucked, Loony. May has 21% of the vote, and Tenshi has 3%. So, who was right? It's time to find out. Let's pray this works. Perfect. No oil. Also, we'll turn this down a little bit. So Xabi, Tenshi, Arya, Starra, and Karuto have all gotten votes. Mei gets a vote. Brielle votes for Ryza. Hikaru votes for Tetris. Arya votes for Starra. Starra votes for Mei. Mint votes for Karuto. Ryza votes for Arya. Bonnie votes for Silvy. Puffy votes for Tetris. Karuto votes for Starra. Tetris votes for Mei. Mei votes for Loony. And Julian votes for Karuto. We have a tie. 3 people with 3 votes apiece. But one of them is the blackened. So who's it gonna be? It's Mei! Ta-da! It was the ultimate exorcist all along. God damn. Everyone's so brutal here. But how'd she do it? Why'd she do it? Well, let's figure it out. Oh wait, where's my thing? God damn it. Mei, the ultimate exorcist, originally lied about her ability to the rest of the ultimates out of fear that it would make her a target. Instead, she tells them that she's the ultimate big sister and is there to help everyone. However, there's one person she's unable to trick. Vyke. Vyke wasn't always the ultimate Yandere, but actually used to be the ultimate cyclist, his bike. However, Vyke had been the target of a Yandere's affection. They died in their pursuit of him, falling out of a window when they saw him training with another person and tried to tackle them off of their bike. Unfortunately, they had misjudged their tackle terribly after failing to realize that they had been training on stationary bikes. Undeterred even by death, the Yandere's soul possessed Vyke, and he'd been in a battle with it ever since. It took a lot of effort to keep it under control, and whenever his emotions got heightened, such as when the motive, I guess we'll say, was introduced, it would seize control and try and take over. Vyke, after noticing the talismans that Mei had hastily tried to hide when meeting the others and recognizing them from his research done to try and remove the Yandere's spirit, pulled her aside and grilled her until she finally revealed her true identity. And, more importantly, he asked if she could perform an exorcism on him to finally free himself of this curse. Mei agreed, and the two secretly prepared a ritual to be performed in the dead of night at the top of the mountain. It was all going according to plan, but the excitement of the moment caused the Yandere's spirit to take over and disrupt the process. Panicking, Mei stumbled over her words and botched the ritual, leading to the exorcism of Vyke's soul instead of the Yandere's. The Yandere, seeing themselves as the killer in all of this, and feeling terribly guilty for killing their beloved, their obsession, demanded Mei finish the ritual to exorcise their own spirit as well so they could follow Vyke into the afterlife. And she, in tears, agreed. Without a soul, the body of Vyke simply stopped breathing, eventually leading to the body's suffocation long after the death of the last soul in it at the hands of Mei. Let me get our prediction settled. Can't even die with being Fallout. I'll be honest. Okay, so this one was one of the first trials are hard for me to figure out a lot of the time, especially when they're with abilities that aren't like as straightforward. So that would involve I wasn't sure how to make the ultimate Yandere do that, especially because peek behind the curtain. I asked people what interest they had in any sort of romance stuff, if they were comfortable with that, if they didn't want to mention whatever. And I'm pretty sure Mei said no. So I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to figure this one out. But then I was like, what if we had a possessed one? Well, yes, thank you for that, Loony. Also, when this simulation came up, I was very sad. Both of their designs are really, really good. And I was so upset that I wasn't gonna be able to get to use them. But alas, it was Mei. It's been Mei all along. But a chapter of Danganronpa doesn't end with guessing who the killer was. It ends more dramatically than that, and it's time for Mei to meet her end. It's time for Maylin's execution. April showers bring Mei flowers. May finds herself in a dark, spooky graveyard surrounded by elaborate tombstones and a single empty grave in the middle, a grave marked with her own name. Panicking, she tries to flee as the skies open and rain begins to pour. But as she runs, she begins to recognize the names on the other graves. The names of malevolent spirits she had exorcised in the past. Before she could make it to the gates, she heard a horrible wailing sound and turned to see row after row of graves bursting open, and dummies resembling those banished spirits emerging to chase her. Stumbling in the mud as the rain intensifies, the banished spirits slowly catch up to May as she scrambles towards the gate, catching her just feet away from the wrought iron and dragging her back to her grave, kicking and screaming. As they approach the grave again, she sees two dummies standing on either side of the headstone, and as they get closer, she realizes who they're supposed to be. Vyke and the Yandere who possessed him. She pleads with them to spare her, that she was only trying to help, but they just stare blankly at her as she's tossed into the open grave. The rain intensifies, turning all the dirt into runny mud that quickly fills it, burying May alive. Once the hole is filled in, all the exorcised spirits return to their graves, except for Vyke and the Yandere, and the sun comes up again. The two place the yellow lotus flowers from May's hair on her grave and walk off into the horizon together. And with that, our first death is over, our first trial. After the execution, the reveal of May as the Blackened leads to even more suspicion between the group, especially given how many people received votes. The surviving Ultimates return to their bedrooms and begin to make plans for how they'll handle this tomorrow. After all, the killing game has truly begun. Starra, however, retreats to her Ultimate lab, hoping to find a little peace of mind in her music. However, as she picks up one of her many instruments, she hears a strange clunking sound inside. Peering in, she finds what everyone had been looking for, the immunity badge. In a panic, she pockets it and rushes back to her room, hoping nobody saw her. And that's the end of chapter 1, which I think, what did I call it again? What was this one? God, there were like 5 pages. Breaking the Ice. I said that before. If not, chapter 1, Breaking the Ice. But how are we feeling about it so far? You lived. Congrats. Yes, most of you survived. Aren't you excited about that? Microwave fossil. Later, we've got time for that. Okay. And as about to run. God damn it, fossil. But okay. And as about to run pretty quickly anyways. So since we're about to start a new chapter, I'm going to run the ad for a couple of minutes. I'm going to get some more water, run to the bathroom. It's time for everybody to also go run into the bathroom, drink some water, all that stuff. We'll be back in a couple of minutes and we'll get back to it. See you guys soon. Pray for our survivors. Bye-bye. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry about the ads you guys are getting. Ah. Okay, I think that's working. Oh, that was only for lore stuff. I was just making a joke about how I don't have like a Monokuma thing. Somebody did make a design for it, and I was hoping to use it for this one because of how everything got so messy. I ended up not having time to get that sorted out. So we'll try and do that maybe for the next one. We'll see. Okay. Anyways, so it is time for us to begin chapter 2. Yes, I'm the Monokuma for this now. So, time for the chapter 2 opening. Yes, okay, perfect. And we'll move to our more fun music. I also plan on having different music for this, but again, didn't have time to make it work. I am too. That is so true. Anyways, let's see. What's up with chapter 2? All right. Chapter 2 is titled, Who Needs Enemies? On the morning of day 7, the Ultimates have spent a few days keeping one another at mostly arm's length, fearing the secrets one another could be hiding. At breakfast, most sit alone, but there are a couple of exceptions. Julian, Hikaru, and Brielle have split off into one group, Loony and Fossil are another, and Arya and Tetris is a third. The search for the badge is continued, with Starra not revealing to anyone that she had found it in her lab the night that May had been executed. Technically, Monokuma's 3 colors too. He's got red for the eye, and then he's got black and white. Yeah, exactly. What else he has? To break up the silence, another announcement comes through. It's time for another incentive. After the scattered votes of the first trial, it's clear there's a real lack of trust within the cast. And maybe it's time to start helping them deal with the consequences of that lack of trust. Starting with the votes from the very first trial, every vote cast against an ultimate during a class trial will be counted against them. This will not reset at any point, and if any ultimate ever accumulates more lifetime votes than there are surviving ultimates, they will become the odd one out and will be executed immediately. The announcer notes that this incentive was a direct request from their mastermind, and so if anyone is killed this way, it will be treated as a murder by the mastermind, and the standard process following a murder will be followed. If the mastermind ever becomes the odd one out, though, the surviving ultimates will win the game. Immediately, the ultimates begin trying to calculate how many votes they'd received in the last trial. 3 for Starra and Kirito, 2 for Tetris and Arya, and 1 each for Silvy, Ryza, Xabi, Loony, and Tenshi. If the goal was to force the group to trust one another, it immediately has the opposite effect. Those who received votes are immediately fighting with whoever voted for them, and while those who voted wrongly and did not get May try to argue that they had no idea about it, so it's not fair to blame them, it's falling on deaf ears. Then, Rioku breaks through the crowd and has a bit of an epiphany. This incentive was requested by the mastermind, right? So surely the mastermind just didn't receive any votes last time, because they wouldn't create an incentive that puts them at more risk. Ryza points out that would include Rioku himself, to which Rioku argues that they wouldn't point it out if they were the mastermind, meaning that it must be either Fossil, Brielle, Hikaru, Mint, Bonnie, Puffy, or Julian. This only kicks off another round of arguing that lasts well into the afternoon. As morning turns to afternoon, Rioku, tired of the bickering, goes to gather some supplies from the gym to train outside, and asks if Starra and Mint would join him to help out. After noticing their puzzled looks, Rioku explains that training in the cold would help them more than training inside, that he'd like Starra to provide some bardic inspiration, and that he would appreciate if Mint could sketch their form so they could see if they needed to make any corrections. Given the lack of anything else to do that wasn't fighting with everyone, they agree and accompany Rioku as he collects his materials. Xabi and Puffy continue to meet in Xabi's ultimate lab, joined by Ryza at Puffy's request. Xabi asks Tenshi to join to help provide some music, but this is mostly a thinly veiled excuse to try and give Tenshi a lap dance. Meanwhile, Tetris and Arya are hanging out in Arya's ultimate lab. Brielle and Hikaru again brief Julian on what info they've been able to find. Nothing, again. The rest of the roster scatters around the facility to do their own thing. By the time night falls, nothing has happened, and the cast goes to sleep. A couple days pass, with everyone mostly sticking to those routines, but after feeling like they can trust them, Rioku lets Mint and Starra in on the actual reason they're training outside on day 10. Rioku plans to escape, and is trying to prepare to spend as much time out in the cold as necessary to reach civilization. The real reason for Mint being there is to try and scout ahead and sketch a map so he knows how far they might have to travel, or which direction to head in. And while Starra expresses concern that there's no way the producers would just let them leave, Mint is desperate to escape and eagerly agrees to the plan. As they continue to plan, night falls once again, and the cast goes to sleep. In the morning on day 11, everyone arrives for breakfast, and then Mint heads out to start doing some more sketches for the map for Rioku. In the afternoon, the rest of the roster again continues with that previous routine, but Mint, Starra, and Rioku meet once again, and Mint produces a map that shows a small town in the distance over the mountain. It'll be a hard trek, but it should take less than a day to get there, meaning that Rioku should be ready to go already. Immediately, the plan kicks into the next stage. Rioku pulls Loony aside and asks if, tomorrow afternoon, he'd be willing to put on a bit of a comedy show to lighten people's spirits. Loony, finding this to be suspicious and weird, presses Rioku until they reveal the escape plan, begging Loony not to tell anyone. Loony promises to keep the secret, but says if this all goes to shit, he will be voting for Rioku every chance he gets. Rioku says that's understandable, and they both go to bed. At breakfast on morning 12, Rioku, Mint, Puffy, Bonnie, Kirito, Tenshi, and Fossil are all absent. After breakfast, Loony announces his intention to put on a comedy show in his ultimate lab to try and raise everyone's spirits, and also because the boredom is killing him faster than any hypothetical Blackened at this point. As much as some doubt the cartoon dog's comedy skills, they all agree to come. After all, what else is there to do? The afternoon comes, and sure enough, Loony puts on the ultimate comedy show. Any skepticism melts away after the first couple of jokes, and Loony manages to keep everyone entertained for a couple of hours. Thank you for the follow, Ultimate Texas Ranger. Welcome in. And over time, Mint, Puffy, Tenshi, Bonnie, Kirito, and Fossil all filter into the Ultimate Jokester's lab to watch. I didn't even realize that Mint. I promise that was not intentional. Thankfully, nobody seems to have really noticed Ryoku's suspicious absence. Loony, Mint, and Starra are all hoping that by now he's reached the town and is getting help for them. At this point, it's just a waiting game until they're rescued. As day turns to night, the jokes begin to wind down and the party migrates from Loony's lab to Xabi's, which is stylized as a nightclub. Tenshi mans the DJ booth, Xabi gets on stage, Bonnie puts her herbalist skills to work throwing together some cocktails, and everyone's having a good time, almost forgetting about what's going on around them. At one point, though, Bonnie realizes she's ran out of ice, and asks Arya if she can run down to the walk-in freezer in the cellar and grab some more. Arya leaves, but a couple of minutes later, she bursts into the room out of breath with tears streaking down her face and flips on the light switch. Xabi goes to get mad about her killing the vibe, only to see the expression on her face. But all she can get out through her attempts to catch her breath are, "Rioku. Freezer." Sorry. The Ultimates all rush out of the lab and down to the cellar, where, perhaps unsurprisingly, they find... Yeah. This is Puppy. I choose to leave Big Dog. Else I face it down. Yeah, poor Ryoku. The evidence files reveal that Ryoku's body is frozen solid, laying in the middle of the floor wearing his outdoor clothes and an expression of terror permanently etched into their face. The documents reveal that Ryoku died of hypothermia at some point during the day, but the details basically start and end there. It's up to the team to begin investigating, and before long, it's time for a class trial once again. Where's my class trial music? There we go. Music, yeah. Immediately. Wait, no, I can't do that. I don't want to... We're going to have no hints. I forgot to do it last time. I forgot to do it properly last time. That's a poll, not a prediction. There we go. New prediction. I can't remember who all we can include in this one, because we're still going to have some others. But let's get this going. Who... Actually... Who's lacking of chapter 1? Let's see. Hold on. we're still have to put a bit of a random group of people in here. Well, that's okay with everyone. Okay. I tried to go in a pattern, so it's a little like there's not like a reason behind it. But you're gonna have. Actually, no, fuck it. We'll put one next. Who's a random person we can throw in there? You know, we'll throw Loony in there randomly because I think it's funny. And then we'll have another. Okay. So, rule for this one is just like with yesterday's streams, where you any of the people who are named, voting for them counts for that. If they are not named, you can vote for other, and if any of the people who are not named are the guilty party or they're the blackened, then you'll get the points. Start the prediction. All right. Immediately, Tenshi turns on Loony. There's no way that comedy show just happened to distract everyone while Rioku was being murdered somewhere, so he must know something about what's happened. Before Loony can even respond, though, Kirito jumps in to argue that Loony wasn't the only one who kept them distracted. The party moved to Xabi's lab right after Loony's, so what if Xabi took advantage of Loony's good intentions to cheer everyone up to cover for the murder? Xabi says that's ridiculous. He had no idea Loony was going to go to the comedy, or doing the comedy show tomorrow. Thank you for the follow, Kia. Welcome in. No idea Loony was going to do the comedy show before that morning when he announced it, and he was present the whole time. Plus, he wasn't the only one who was part of the entertainment in his lab. Tenshi was DJing and Bonnie was making drinks. If it was planned, the plan would have had to involve all three of them, right? Ryza protests his argument by pointing out that Xabi was present the whole day, but Tenshi and Bonnie were absent until different points in the comedy show. What if their plan had always been for Xabi to try and drag everyone into his lab to distract everyone while Tenshi and or Bonnie killed Ryoku, and Loony's plan just happened to coincide with theirs? Arya suddenly remembers that it was Bonnie who asked her to go and get the ice from the walk-in freezer. Eva Jagger and Kia. Maybe that was all part of the plan. They'd go to the club, have some drinks, and when they eventually ran out of ice, Bonnie would send someone down to get more, knowing they'd find Ryoku's body. Starra tries to speak up, but Tenshi gets there first. This whole idea is stupid. There's only one blackened, so even if one of them did kill Ryoku with the help of the others, there's no reason for them to protect that person. If that person survives, everyone else dies. But Julian points out that that's not exactly true. If the true killer has that immunity badge, then so long as they played it, there's no way for all three of them to die. Thank you for the follow, Shigul. Welcome in. The killer would be allowed to escape even if they lost the vote, and the accomplices would survive regardless. Tenshi points out that this is making an awful lot of assumptions about any of them having the badge, where there is no proof that they do. But Julian retorts that there's no proof that they don't. The two start bickering over whether or not it's possible to prove a negative, but finally, Hikaru butts in to ask when Ryoku was last seen alive. Let me take a sip to get some water. Where was this? Yeah, Loony, relieved to finally have a chance to explain himself, says that he had spoken to Ryoku last night. The comedy show had been their plan. Ryoku had found a way to escape, and Loony was tasked with distracting the producers with the show. Whatever Xabi and Tenshi and Bonnie were doing, it had nothing to do with Ryoku as far as he knew. Brielle then begins pressuring Loony. Who was Ryoku working with? Why didn't you tell anyone? How did he know where to escape to? However, Loony doesn't know much. He wasn't roped into the plan beyond what Ryoku had told him, and he says as much. All he knew was that Ryoku was going to escape. Hi Brielle, welcome in. You've missed one murder. We've had one, but you're still alive. I hope that life is treating you well. Anyways, Starra then finally stands up and says that herself and Mint had been the ones working with Ryoku. They told them the plan a couple of days ago, and Mint had climbed the mountain to try and sketch out a map. Which, speaking of, did anyone find the map?
You're easily impressed.
Thanks for the follow. You said 98. Welcome in. Yeah, let me look at the predictions actually. How's that going? Oh, Jesus. Fossil. I need to find a way to make this interactive the next go round so I can like have those votes count for who gets treated as the blackened, because I think that'd be way funnier. It was actually the plan for this one, but like that would be way too fucking complicated. There'd be no way to like make that work. Where was I gonna say? Where was I at? Oh yeah, speaking of, did anyone find the map? Puffy then produces the map, saying that he had found it after searching Ryoku's body. Only for Mint to ask when and also why did you do that? Puffy says it was during the investigation period, and that he'd been looking to see if Rioku had the immunity badge. He didn't, by the way. Mint goes to snatch back the map, but Puffy holds it out of reach, asking why exactly is Mint so desperate to get it back? Tetris, meanwhile, has begun to realize something. Puffy had said in the first trial that he needed blood outside of the body for his rituals, but never said there was any reason that it had to be perfectly fresh. What if Puffy had spotted Rioku trying to sneak out, killed him, and stashed him in the freezer to use as a blood source in the future? Mint immediately concurs, saying that Puffy also wasn't at breakfast that morning. But Starra interrupts, saying Mint wasn't either. Actually, now that Starra's thinking about it, she's also been pretty high up on the mountain back when they found Vyke's body. And yet, she didn't see the town that Mint had told Rioku was out there. She asks Puffy for the map that Mint drew, and he hands it over. And as Starra unravels it, she realizes that this map makes no sense. It totally misrepresented the mountain ranges that Starra had seen during the previous investigation, and Mint had climbed way higher than Starra had, meaning that he should have seen more than her, not less. Mint, tears welling in his eyes, remembers that he just tried his best. He's the ultimate artist, not the ultimate cartographer. Sometimes he forgets things, and it wasn't intentional. He begins to break down, sobbing at the idea that maybe he did get Rioku killed, at least unintentionally. But Starra, starting to piece things together, points out that he didn't forget. He was up at the top of the mountain, actively sketching it, and just misrepresented things. Mint points out that this still doesn't explain Puffy's absence, or Tenshi's, or Bonnie's, or anything else. Maybe Puffy redrew the map to try and pin it on Mint. Puffy retorts that up until about 30 seconds ago, nobody except for Mint and Starra knew that Mint had drawn the map. He had thought that Rioku had made it himself, so there was no reason why he would have edited it anyways. However, before they can continue arguing, the announcement once again interrupts them. It's time to vote. All right. Give you guys a few more seconds to finish off your predictions. We'll go with another 15 or so seconds. I really needed to have some sort of like idle music for this segment because I don't want it to have the class trial music. But we'll see. Why is he in the freezer? I don't know, man. Why? Or maybe not. Who knows why? I guess we'll have to figure that out. You could always confess. Anyways, we're going to end the submissions now. So, for the audience at home, my favorite thing about this is that absolutely none of you have learned that you can hold on to your vote until close to the end. Like, there's no rush. So everyone votes immediately. So 1% of the vote went, or 1% of the points went to Xabi. 71% of the points went to Fossil. 0% of the points went to Tenshi. 0% went to Brielle, but Brielle still got 1 vote. Arya got 0% of the vote. Min got 23% of the points. Bonnie, Corito, and Loony all got 0%. Well, Loony, you're moving up in the world. People like you now. And 5% of points went to other. But did pretty 16. You know what? You gotta swing big. You have likers. Well, you don't have haters. That's not the same thing as having likers. But who did it? Who's gonna get the points? Oh, that's true. We might. Okay, let me make a note of that. Hold on. Despair syndrome. Because even in the actual game, there is no like music that plays in this bit where it's like giving you the scorecard. It's dead silent. But hi, how are you doing, Kyoko Puff? Unfortunately, your fellow fighter is gone. It has not been a good time for the fighters. But anyways, it's time to figure out who did it. Who done it? Hi, Elixir. It's going good. How are you? Let's see. First vote is Loony for Corito. Second is from Xabi for Puffy. Third is Silvy voting for Hikaru. Fourth is Fossil voting for Ryza. Fifth is Rioku, who is dead. Sixth is Tenshi, votes for Arya. Seventh is Vyke, who is also dead. Eighth is Brielle, who votes for Bonnie. Ninth is Hikaru, voting for Mint. Arya, voting 10th, goes for Corito. Starra votes for Mint. Mint votes for Puffy. Ryza votes for Fossil. Bonnie votes for Mint. Puffy votes for Tenshi. Corito votes for Arya. Tetris votes for Bonnie. May is dead. And Julian votes for Brielle. So who done it? Who's the villain? There's no tie this time. It was Mint. Congratulations to all the Mint voters. I hope you enjoy your points. What did you do? Well, Mint, let's get into it. How did you kill your poor, poor friend? And maybe more importantly, why? Rioku, the ultimate MMA fighter, was trying to maintain his training program throughout their time in the killing game. He didn't intend to pick any fights, but he wanted to make sure he was always able to end them if he needed. To this end, they enlisted a couple of friends to help with the training. Starra, the ultimate bard, was asked to provide inspiration, and Mint, the ultimate artist, was asked to sketch them during their workouts so they could ensure their form was correct. There is a cooldown on the redeems. God damn it. Anyways, Rioku had a secret plan though. They were going to do as much cold weather training as possible so they could be prepared to escape the facility and trek back to civilization. However, Rioku had no idea where civilization was, and was terrified of accidentally informing the mastermind and getting killed, but came to trust both Starra and Mint with their plan. Unfortunately, this was a mistake. Mint, seeing an opportunity to escape for himself, decided to kill Rioku with a fake map. The map indicated that civilization could be found much closer than anticipated, just over the mountain, so Rioku would be able to handle the trip immediately. Unfortunately for Rioku, there was no such village, no community. Civilization was nowhere to be seen. Rioku then enlisted the help of Loony to help provide a distraction with his silly antics one afternoon, and before anyone noticed, he was out the door. Unfortunately, civilization was not over that mountain, or the next, or the one after that. Thank you for the jacket redeem, Kurito. Nobody knew when Rioku eventually died, or even really where. But that'd make it a bit too easy for Mint, so producers retrieved the body and left it in Mint's room, leaving him with the task of trying to hide it. While everyone was distracted by Loony's comedy show, he temporarily stashed the body in the freezer to give himself time to come up with a better plan. Unfortunately, Arya, thanks to Bonnie, had accidentally stumbled upon it before he could dispose of it better, forcing him to improvise, and eventually reveal his murder plot. It's their fault for following the map. Yeah, I mean, sure, Mint. Whatever you gotta tell yourself to go to sleep at night. Thank you for the hydration check, Fossil. Blame it on the edit. Exactly. So. Oh my god. I will be honest. Again, last time I feel like it was a lot easier to figure out how people might kill each other. In this one, I was a little bit like, I don't really know how Mint is expected to get away with this. Mint does not seem like the type to murder an MMA fighter. He goes, Jesus, that's cruel, Felix. I would never. Mine is much less brutal. Which, speaking of, it's time to get to the execution of Mint Baozi. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Mint finds himself in the middle of a pitch black, empty art studio with nothing but a canvas in front of him illuminated by a spotlight. As he approaches it, more and more spotlights turn on, revealing rows and rows of dummies seated in a circle around him, all with easels in front of them. Mint cautiously picks up the pencil in front of him and draws a small circle on the easel to test it, only for the circle to pop out of the paper. Before he can process this, he hears a whistling sound and ducks as a paper knife sails over his head. And after it thwacks into the wall behind him, he realizes he can hear the sound of countless pencils scratching away on paper. They're drawing more weapons to attack him with. Whatever they draw comes to life. A paper throwing star flies down at him, slicing his arm, and he desperately begins to draw himself a shield. Paper rock hits him in the head, leaving his lines wavy and uneven, but there's no time for perfection. As he finishes the shield, it pops out, but it's just not enough. There's too many of them at all angles, and when Mint moves to block a spear from one side, a knife flies in from the other and catches him in the ribs. With his free hand, he tries to draw himself a second shield while blocking more and more thrown weapons, but can't block everything. His feet and legs keep getting sliced, and there's always another weapon flying at the back of his head. He's almost completed the second shield when a knife clears his defenses and pierces the back of his hand, nailing it to the canvas. The pain startles Mint so bad that he drops the shield, realizing instantly, an instant too late, his mistake. With the first shield gone and the second unfinished, he's pierced by paper weapons from all angles, disappearing under a flurry of razor-sharp loose leaf. Finally, buried under a mountain of paper, the dummies reveal their final drawings, each a frame of the final moments of the ultimate artist's life. Definitely better than being left or ghosted by a client, right? Surely. I'd say those aren't necessarily as brutal as the ones yesterday. I feel like yesterday they were a lot. Also, I don't know if you can tell, this is one of the ones where I came up with the name of it first and then had to figure out what the fuck I would do for paper cuts. It was very dumb. I don't know if it was more brutal. Felix, you got pummeled to death. I feel like there's different strokes, I guess. It's no more drawing oiled up men. That's the real travesty. We're all going to suffer for Mint's death now. But yes, that is death by 1,000 paper cuts. The execution of Mint Baozi. Oh yeah, I need to get the other. Wait. There's a tab between too many things. Wait, let me see. There's still working from on this page. After the execution, Tenshi, Bonnie, and Xabi leave without saying a word to the people who had just falsely accused them, as does Puffy. The others who received votes leave shortly after, tabulating their new risk from that odd ones out twist. What had started out as a day full of hope and joy is now clouded in despair and distrust. And as a blizzard began to whip up outside, they were truly trapped here now. Thank you for the lurk, Kyoko. I appreciate it. Also, yes, so just as a reminder, we've got Rioku and we've got Mint. Actually, this is an interesting. Oh my god, I just realized you two have both drawn yourselves for this. Oh, I feel a little bad. God damn it, Fossil. Yes, go follow the both of them. They're lovely, they're talented, and also they make very good art. They're talented beyond their art, but also their art is very talented, is what I mean. I'm so sorry, it's been a long day. Yes, Julian? What do you want from me? I didn't do anything wrong. Artist early outs? Fossil, watch out! College or wide ruled? Sketchbook paper. I just can think of a different synonym for paper at that point. So that's the only reason why I said loose leaf. Anyways. With this, it's time for... Wait, hold on. Where's the thing? That's the voting video. Time for chapter 3. Let's get our nice music up. We're 3 chapters in. We have 4 dead. We're making good progress. Most of you have survived. Some of you will be in the in memoriam slides at some point, if I ever remember to make them. But with this, we move on to chapter 3, titled With Friends Like These. On the morning of day 15, after days of tense, silent breakfasts, the anger over the previous trial finally boiled over. Tenshi, Bonnie, and Xabi are fighting with just about anyone and everyone who suspected them when they did nothing wrong, while Kirito, Starra, and the others who've been accumulating more votes against them point the finger at Julian, who must be the mastermind, the only person who hasn't received a vote yet. No, the first one was, Who Needs Enemies? Or chapter 2 was Who Needs Enemies, chapter 3 is With Friends Like These. Anyways, Julian argues that he had no control over that, and Brielle and Hikaru come to his defense. Eventually, people start storming out of the dining area, anxious about the others plotting, and even more anxious about making sure they have the plots of their own to protect themselves. I mean, honestly, that's valid, Monarch. I'm trying to remember in advance who dies here, and I don't... Oh, right, I do remember. I don't know why I forgot that. This will be a fun one. Anyways, as of the afternoon, 2 factions have begun to form. Xabi, Bonnie, and Tenshi lead one group, while Julian, Hikaru, and Brielle lead the other. Both groups are trying to court the others to join them, believing the other faction to be the problem. DM for voting music? Okie dokie. I probably won't be adding an extra music at this point, but I'll definitely keep it in mind for the next round. Anyways, outside of the factions, there are other, not necessarily factions, but people who tend to operate in pairs. There's Loony and Fossil, there's Arya and Tetris, there's Ryza and Puffy. Kirito, Silvy, and Starra, meanwhile, are mostly on their own at the moment. Despite pressure from those two factions, no new groups have formed and no one has moved to others. And so nothing happens as they go to sleep. In the morning of day 16, people are separated in the dining area, but people are beginning to join more and more groups. Loony and Fossil join up with Xabi, Tenshi, and Bonnie, only for Xabi to refuse to work with them after Loony voted for him in the first round. Tenshi and Bonnie then split off from Xabi, and Loony and Fossil join the two of them alongside Silvy. Arya and Tetris, meanwhile, join Julian. I don't know why I wrote Julie. Apologies. I guess you can't see my script. You wouldn't have known if I didn't say it. But now, sorry. Anyways, Arya and Tetris join Julian, Hikaru, and Brielle. Ryza, Puffy, Starra, and Kurito are currently still free agents. Moving into the afternoon, Puffy and Ryza suddenly have a falling out over something that they will not explain. But it leads them to go to separate groups, with Puffy going to Julian's and Ryza going to Bonnie and Tenshi's. Starra, Kurito, and Xabi begin talking a little bit more. You know, they're the outsiders, they might as well work together a bit, with Kurito confessing to be just a bit confused by this whole thing. Where he's from, murder isn't handled the way that it is in the class trials. There's a judicial mandate of minimizing harm, so it would be justifiable to kill someone if you feared they would kill someone else. But it's not just to kill someone after they'd killed someone if there is no proof they might continue doing so. Starra points out that that feels like a system that's really vulnerable to exploitation, but Kurito seems confused at the idea of exploiting it. After all, that's just what you would do. You'd want to protect the most people possible. Meanwhile, Xabi just kind of zones out, daydreaming about getting out and going back to the real world. He misses his clubs, who can blame him? As they talk, Starra realizes she can never let Kurito know about the badge she has. If he knew that she could kill and get away with it, would that be enough for him to be willing to kill her? Xabi is unironically daydreaming about kissing men. I'm pretty sure Xabi asked or said something specifically along the lines of like wanting to be fruity throughout. That was the main thing. Anyways, as day turns to night, some of the ultimates stay up scheming, or trying to counter scheme against one another, but most go to bed and the night passes without incident. On the morning of day 17, the factions seem to have mostly settled. Starra, Xabi, and Kurito remain on the outside. Bonnie, Tenshi, Loony, Fossil, Silvy, and Ryza form one faction, and Julian, Hikaru, Brielle, Arya, Tetris, and Puffy form the other. If I have forgotten anyone, I am very sorry. My brain was melting trying to remember how to put everyone's names in every spot. Puffy and Ryza, meanwhile, are still glaring daggers at each other, but won't explain what happened between the two of them. Moving into the afternoon, people continue to hang out in their factions, with Starra, Kurito, and Xabi mostly just keeping to themselves in their rooms at this point. However, as night begins to fall, the Ultimates are preparing for bed when they suddenly hear a horrific screeching noise, like a buzzsaw against brick. Everyone runs out of their rooms and starts searching for the source of the sound. Going down floor after floor, it becomes clear that it's coming from the cellar. And as they open the cellar door, they encounter a truly horrifying sight. Bonnie is identified among the dead. But there seems to be more than one body. Tenshi is also seemingly found in there, but it's going to take a second to identify because Tenshi and Bonnie have been sliced to bits in the cellar with blood absolutely everywhere. One of the only intact things left in the room was Tenshi's fan, which was similarly covered in blood and dented to high hell. The documents reveal that the case was, unsurprisingly, being sliced to pieces for the pair of them, and that it had happened at the time that they had heard the buzzsaw noise. After trying their best to investigate in the cellar, their feet splashing through the blood, they're called into another class trial. All right, let's get the class trial music going. It's been a double moida. So, let's open up another prediction. Which person are you guys going to vote for wrong for the sake of it? It's going to be Loony, it's going to be Fossil, who knows? Or double the scrap. Yeah, well, you know what? I am starting to realize that maybe part of the risk of making something like this is that I'm going to look like a fucking psychopath. which I promise is not the case. Anyways, so we've got Loony, we've got, oh my god, let me provide an outcome. Xabi, who else is here? Silvy. Wait, how many people are still in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're gonna pick a couple of random ones, I guess. Is this the right number? Hold on. Oh, right. I was gonna put Fossil in here too. Whatever. Anyways, so just like with the last time. Yeah, the same people I know. Look, those are insane in a different kind of way. Anyways, our predictions for the named people are Loony, Xabi, Silvy, Hikaru, Puffy, Kurito, Tetris, Julian, Fossil, and Other. If you don't believe it's one of the named people, you can vote for Other, and it could apply to any of those people in the group. Let's start our prediction. Yeah, Xabi's listed too. I mostly just kind of try and go random. I pick people from the top row and the bottom row, and then I one from each of the other rows. I don't know. It's hard. Like, I really wish it would allow me to have everyone in the predictions, because it does kind of annoy me that I can't, like... That I can't? Whatever. Anyways. So, like I said, the bodies are a bit indistinguishably sliced up. Like... Nothing really to identify them. And so, as the class trial begins, no one really knows where to start. This case makes no sense. Nobody in their faction knew why the two of them would be meeting alone, and in their panic to find the source of the noise, they hadn't really noticed if anyone had been missing before arriving in the cellar. Oh shit, there's an ad. Fuck. Okay, we will wait for the ad. Sorry, we will wait for the ad. I should have been paying more attention to that, I'm sorry. So how's everyone doing? If either of our Blackened are able to see this, I don't think Tenshi's here. I think Tenshi was also one of the only people who I talked about this with, who was confident that he was gonna make it to the end. I'll say, let's see what the voting looks like. Who is confident? Holy shit. For the people watching the VoDs, 95% of voters have 95% of the points have gone to Julian, with the other points going to Loony, Silvy, Puffy, and Other.
Aw, isn't that sweet?
Oh shit, thank you for this sub, Riza. I appreciate it. It's okay, we'll mostly try and time the ads between chapters. I should have done it after the last one too to give people a break, but anyways. Let's see. Everyone's back, I think. The ad should be over. Yes, okay. Alright. Like I said, the case may know, or nobody knows where to start. The case makes no sense. No one in their faction knew why the two of them would be meeting alone, and in their panic to find the source of the noise, they hadn't noticed if anyone had been missing before arriving in the cellar. After a few moments of silence, Loony makes a weak-hearted attempt at a joke about technically not finding the bodies in the cellar at this point, since there wasn't enough left to constitute a body for either of them. Nobody laughs at this joke. Finally, this is Julian, who points at Xabi and asks why he left their faction to begin with. To which Xabi says he just refused to forgive Loony for voting for him and wasn't willing to work with anyone who would put him at risk for the odd one out twist. Xabi fires back and wait. Oh yeah, right, sorry. I was worried that I'd said that wrong. Xabi decides to fire back and points out that Julian's got a pair of info brokers in his group. Maybe he should ask one of them to explain what happened. Oh wait, they can't. They seemingly haven't been collecting very much information at all. They've just been skulking around while the rest of us have had to figure out the cases. Hikaru and Brielle both begin to argue with Xabi, but Julian gestures for them both to wait. He says Xabi has no idea what information the two of them have, that he'd best focus on himself unless he wants that information to get out. Xabi, meanwhile, laughs. As anyone who knows him would attest, Xabi has no shame. I mean, he is already the ultimate Lapdancer. There's not a lot of secrets that would exactly shame him. He's proud of who he is. We'd love that for Xabi. Be proud. Be who you are for your pride. Starra, meanwhile, points out that those three aren't the only parts of Julian's faction, and Puffy has repeatedly mentioned needing blood outside of the body to do his magic. Well, there is currently more blood than body in the cellar, so it seems like Puffy might have gotten his wish. Puffy furiously pushes back, saying that this is all just once again making assumptions based off of his appearance and his abilities without any evidence. Julian's blood-coated. Starra retorts that they don't even know what it would look like to leave evidence of blood magic, but they do know that it involves blood, and there is in fact blood. Puffy angrily points out that there's not a lot he can do with a pool of blood spilled in a random room. Whatever killed them clearly did it before he would have even had a chance to do anything with the blood to try and harm them. Xabi then points out that Arya is also on Team Julian, and that Tenshi's fan seems like it might have been the murder weapon. Maybe she used her siren powers to convince him to kill both himself and Bonnie with it? Arya scoffs, but before she can say anything, Tetris leaps to her defense. Arya had been with Tetris before the murder that night, so it couldn't have been her. The implications of this shock everyone in the room, who hadn't exactly thought that Tetris was into women. But no one really knows how to tackle that subject without sounding just a bit homophobic, so they kind of just drop it and move on. Julian then points out that Fossil and Silvy have been really quiet this whole time. What's their deal? Fossil says they're just a silly puppy before barking a few times and rolling around on the floor and muttering something about microwaves. Silvy, meanwhile, just says he has nothing to contribute right now. Is it really that unbelievable that the ultimate himbo doesn't know what to do about all of this? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to keep an eye out on this to make sure that I'm not missing anything that needs to be approved by moderator, because I don't think Papa is here right now, but I think we're good. Anyways, back at it. But Julian keeps pushing. Silvy hasn't just been quiet in this trial, Silvy's been quiet through all of this. What exactly has he spent his time doing? Silvy says, just working out mostly. Again, this isn't really something that he's built for. Himbos are strong, kind, and dumb, which doesn't really give him a lot to work with in a killing game. Loony asks if he's implying that the others aren't strong or kind, and Fossil once again says something about being careful or he'll microwave you too. Who's he? Who's to say? Silvy says no, pointing to Kirito as a good example of how someone who doesn't understand human customs has even been able to be kind in the lodge. Everyone has been. That actually reminds Starra of something Kirito had said. Something about what makes it justifiable to kill. She asks him to repeat himself, which he does. It's about saving the most at the expense of the fewest, or at the expense of the few. And then Puffy asks what it would mean for someone to intend to kill someone else, to the extent that it's justified to act. Kirito says that the standard is that you have to be able to present evidence that, based on your own experience and knowledge, that someone is presenting the signs that they'll kill. For example, Vyke and May had been close, and then May killed him. Rioku and Mint had been close, and then Mint killed them. Really exploited. I think you said Ultimate Amnesiac was one of your ideas, and I didn't know how to do anything with that one. It would have just ended up making something real sad. Anyways, Starra stops and thinks for a second before asking if it would mean that, if Kirito saw two friends getting close, that would mean he thought one might kill the other. Kirito nods. If the pattern's established, then it's justified to act accordingly. But it doesn't mean he did. Loony scoffs, saying that the two of them had been fucking blenderized. Kirito's an alien, but he's not magic. But Starra decides to push further. Maybe magic isn't necessary. So, point blank, she asks, does Kirito have any technology that would enable him to do that? Kirito, somewhat shyly, maybe, pulls out a strange device and points it at Silvy. Upon activating it, Silvy's mask slowly floats off of his face. He reaches out to grab it, but instead of yanking it back, he ends up yanking himself towards it as he pulls, as it's fixed in the air. Kirito presses another button to deactivate it and the mask stops floating, with Silvy smashing himself in the face with it. In shock, Xabi asks him what the hell that thing is, to which Kirito says that it controls magnetic materials and can move through the air, or move them through the air. Which might include things like... But before he can finish the sentence, the announcer interrupts them. It's time to vote. So, I'll give you guys a few more seconds to cast your votes, make your decisions, make your predictions. Who do you think it is? Another 10 or so seconds. You had a freak accident, did you? It's clearly Loony. Yeah, you know what? Voting for Loony feels like the safe bet. Anyways, 5, 4, 3, 2, and close. All right, for the people watching at home in the VoDs, the people who got no votes in all of this were Xabi, or no points cast against them were Xabi, Hikaru, Tetris, and Fossil. Silvy received 0% or less than 1% of the points. Loony received 1% of the points. Puffy received 3%, and Other got 1%. The remaining 95% of the vote was split between Corito and Julian, with Julian receiving 75% of the points and Corito receiving 20. So, who was it? Who was it that blenderized the ultimate herbalist and the ultimate rapper? Let's find out. Here's Obama. Silly. Loony votes for Puffy. Xabi votes for Starra. Silvy votes for Corito. Fossil votes for Arya. Rioku is dead. Tenshi is dead. Vyke is dead. Brielle votes for Corito. Hikaru votes for Tetris. Arya votes for Starra. Starra votes for Fossil. Mint is dead. Ryza votes for Hikaru. Bonnie is dead. Puffy votes for Tetris. Corito votes for Loony. Tetris votes for Puffy. May is dead. And Julian votes for Corito. With friends like these. It's Corito! Indeed, it was the ultimate alien Corito. I will say, peek behind the curtains. Hold on, let me put on something in the background. Peek behind the curtains on this. I made the trailer and like positioned everyone and put everyone like in their groups with each other for that before I did any of the simulation runs. I didn't know who was gonna kill who, but I did find it really funny that Corito, you ended up with Bonnie in the trailer. I mostly did it because your art styles just like match with each other very nicely. It was very, I like the two of yours. Yours is one of my favorite, like sort of sliding in animations. But yeah, thank you, Mint. Yeah, so we've got Bonnie, we've got Corito, we've got Tenshi. So many dead. Also, let me just give our votes, or bit our prediction, give our points to the people who waited until the end. Is really like, again, the strat here is just to not vote in the first 30 seconds. Last time we did this, I kept on ending the vote before I got to that final little bit. Because I didn't want to give too much away, but it's funnier to me that you guys keep voting immediately and voting mostly wrong. Anyways, so if I want to make, that's fair. They are just channel points, and I don't have enough to... I should have put real channel point rewards or like redeems in here. That would have been fun. Make it worth it.
Will you shut up? We're doing our best.
That's the problem. Your best isn't doing very good. Anyways, also, something worth noting is that...
I have a feeling that I'm in danger.
I mean, maybe. I will point out, though, last time, if you recall, fucking every round was a tie, it seemed like.
Hey, when he does...
Jesus. This time you guys aren't really tying so much, which is kind of nice. Means I don't have to keep on being like, oh, I don't know. Anyways. Wait, hold on. I'm going to snooze the ad right now because we have to do one more thing before the end of the chapter. We have to explain, or two things. First, we have to explain how they did it. So Bonnie, the ultimate herbalist, and Tenshi, the ultimate rapper, seemed like they had very little in common throughout the game. And that's what made them perfect allies.
The LGBT community is rich in
Damn it.
sensibility, has excellent taste, and is full of talented artistic people.
You're ruining the moment. Also, thanks, Elixir. Behind the scenes, the two of them had been working together not just during this section, but throughout the entire game, even splitting their votes to ensure that nobody recognized that they'd been forming an alliance. Then, when the time came, the two of them hid their alliance within the bigger faction, but continued meeting in secret when they could. However, Corito, who was generally oblivious to human social cues as the ultimate alien, was able to pick up on this relationship due to his many additional senses. He was admittedly kind of confused about the nature of this game, but had deduced so far that people were dying in pairs, and had used that same sense to identify that a relationship existed between the killers and victims in past trials. Namely, that every victim had been killed by a friend that they were secretly meeting with. As a result, when he noticed that Tenshi and Bonnie fit this criteria, he assumed that one of them must be preparing to kill the other. However, given that he didn't know which was which, his logic was that it simply made more sense to kill them both to guarantee he killed a potential killer. Under his thoughts of his planet's judicial system, this was a perfectly logical action. You're killing two people, but if someone's prepared to kill once, they're prepared to kill twice. So even if you get one innocent victim, you've theoretically saved countless more. Especially because the class trial would kill the rest of the participants. Unfortunately, on Earth, this means that what actually happened is that while spying on a meeting between Bonnie and Tenshi, he activated a magnetic gadget that ripped Tenshi's fan out of his hand and began violently spinning it around the room in a buzzsaw-like fashion. The noise alerted everyone else in the lodge, but Kirito simply deconstructed and reconstructed himself back in his room, leaving nobody any the wiser. After realizing that the killing game's courts didn't work like the ones on his home planet, and that he was going to be on trial for a double killing instead of lauded as a hero for potentially saving countless lives at the cost of just one innocent person, and that he might soon be responsible for the deaths of many if he wasn't killed, he began trying to formulate his best defense. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Yeah, Puffy and Ryza are still staring at each other angrily throughout all of this. Spare you? Unfortunately, I don't think we're allowed to spare people. That's just not how the rules of the game work. Also, yeah, look, Kirito killing Tenshi and Bonnie was a weird combination of people. This one has been more of a struggle to try and figure out exactly how it all makes sense. But it's time to identify, or it's time to move on from explaining the death, or explaining the murderer, explaining the Blacken's path, and put an end to the path. Sorry, I'm struggling to get to the end of this. It's time for the execution of the ultimate alien, Kirito Arvos. And the execution's title is The Speed of Light. Kirito, desperate to avoid his fate, dematerialized out of the lodge and onto his ship, desperately trying to escape. Unbeknownst to him, his spaceship had long since been hijacked by the producers, and as he tried to activate a hyperspace jump, dozens of dummies wearing similar clothes to Kirito marched into the room. Kirito realized with horror what they were meant to be. They were dressed as a jury from his home planet, here to judge him for his crimes. He had killed not just once, but twice. And if he doesn't die, more will die as a result. They begin attacking him, dematerializing and rematerializing around him as the ship charges up for the jump. A flashing light appears on the screen near the pilot seat, warning them to strap in, but in the heat of battle, no one could see or hear the alarms increasing in intensity. Kirito, desperate to save himself, began using that magnetic tool to send chunks of metal from the cabin at his attackers, ripping out chunks of control panels, the walls, the chairs in the room, all to no avail. As the ship finished charging up and began to rev up, Kirito realized they were still about to make a hyperspace jump and he had no way to strap in. He was undoubtedly doomed. And maybe he deserved it for what he'd done to his friends. He collapsed to his knees as the jury descended onto him, only for everyone to be flung against the back of the cockpit at light speed as the ship jumped, arriving at Kirito's planet with nothing but a bright splatter as proof that any of them had ever existed. Hi, Jinx. Yes, Kirito has done a murder. It's very sad. Kirito double killed Tenshi and Bonnie. It's been a whole moment. But justice has been done. It's fine. And after the execution, tensions are still a little bit high, especially for those whose vote counts are going up and up and up. Starra felt horrified at how close she'd possibly gotten to Kirito exacting that same mentality of justice against her and struggled to fall asleep. And still others were trying to figure out how to plot their way out of here. There was a little bit of death that you missed, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. In the scale of a Danganronpa game, that's not that many. Wait, no, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, no. Oh, right, 7. I can't count. But yes, 7 dead bodies, which means that we've got 12 survivors at the end of With Friends Like These. But yeah, an ad is also about to run again, so we're going to take this as an opportunity. Go get your bathroom breaks, go get your food, your snack, your water. Hi, Astian. It's okay. You're only a little bit late. We've just finished up chapter 3. As a recap, for those who do not need to go get water or need to go for a bathroom break and who are not going to be seeing the ad, we'll explain. Actually, Yeah, we'll run the ad and we'll explain what's going on. If you really need an explanation, then we can explain to you as we go as well. But in chapter 1, a motive was introduced that there was an immunity idol, basically, somewhere in the facility. That's so true, Mint. Mint is still alive somewhere. But yes, in chapter 1, a motive was introduced that there would be an immunity badge, I guess I should say. Don't come for me, Jeff Probst. Let me on your show, but don't fight me on this. Anyways, there's an immunity badge that everyone was looking for throughout the mansion that, if they were the Blackened, they could use to negate all votes against them. But if they don't use it and save it all the way to the end, whether they are the Blackened or they just make it to the top 6, they'll get an extra $10 million. After a few days spent searching, however, no one found it, but they did find the body of Vyke, our ultimate Yandere, who had been killed and left at the top of a mountain, spread-eagled on the snow. I'll say against, however, I goddamn please, Fossil. I'm gonna rerun the simulation and kill you twice by now. We'll get to how Kirito died. It turned out that May was the one who had killed Vyke after trying to perform an exorcism to remove the spirit of the ultimate Yandere from his body, but failing, accidentally exorcised his soul, and then exorcised the Yandere just for good measure, and got killed with the execution. April showers bring May flowers. In the second chapter, Rioku attempted to escape and enlisted the help of Starra and Mint. Starra to provide some bardic inspiration, and Mint to draw a map out. Mint uses this as an opportunity to create a misleading map, killing poor Rioku. In our third chapter, Tenshi and Bonnie were found sliced and diced to bits with their seemingly in a locked room. But it turned out that Kirito had used a device to fling Tenshi's bladed fan all around the room over and over again, slicing and dicing everyone. I'm saying words wrong. Can you tell that this is why I had to script most of it? Because I am not good at doing this shit on there. Yeah, in hindsight, I think the trailer becomes more fun now that you've seen how people have started to die. It was fun to watch it earlier too, after seeing the Fall of Hope one. But yeah. And so Kirito, I guess I should say, Mint was executed with death by 1,000 paper cuts. And so true. You know what? You did say this should not be taken as fact. This is for entertainment purposes only. Loony did kill it on stage. He told amazing jokes. That is true. Kirito was executed by the execution. What was it called again? The speed of light, where Kirito tried to dematerialize out of the lodge and rematerialize on the spaceship, activated a hyper jump, but then the producers who had hijacked the ship all along sent in dummies dressed up as jurors in a trial to go and attack Kirito because they had to kill him. They had to save the people who he would kill otherwise if he didn't die. Kirito uses magnetic tool to try and fight them off, but ripped out all of the chairs. There was nowhere to sit when we went into hyperspace. And so everyone was flung against the wall at light speed and basically vaporized. Think about that bit from like The Boys. I haven't watched the show, but like where the guy who runs really fast splatters that guy's girlfriend and he's left just like holding her hands. We're talking like that kind of like Kirito splat. So true. Sorry, the last trial. In the trial that got Mint, I think it was just that you were the wall strawberry flavor too. Exactly. It was because you had put on a comedy show that distracted everyone was the thing. But anyways, enough bemoaning the past. Those who have died have died. We can't bring them back. There's nothing for it. It's time to move on to chapter 4. The beards. Wait, no, sorry, what was it? The birds and the beards. God damn it, I got it wrong. Anyways. Stupid thing. Stupid, more upbeat music. Anyways. The birds and the beards, yes. I have been having a lot of fun coming up with chapter titles. Anyways. I have a fourth motive real. Mint, are you a beard or a bird? We shall have to wait and see. I was so proud of that one. You guys are gonna have this chapter is, I think, my favorite one from this whole bunch. I'm so excited. Okay. So, on the morning of day 18, the day after the trial, Silvy stands up at the breakfast table and asks if he can say a few words. Maybe we'll figure it out, Ryza. Or maybe not. Is it wrong to ship Loony and Xabi? I don't know. I'm sure Xabi would be fine with it. It really comes down to Loony. I also don't think Loony would say no. I've seen how Loony talks. I don't think Loony would say no to that. Yeah, this part can't go like this. So yeah, actually, before we move into it, we have gotten down to a fairly small-ish group of people. Who do we think is making it out alive? Who's got the mandate of heaven? I've seen Loony's gotten some art that's a little bit more humanoid. It's just really good. I like it a lot. Loony's designs are good. Loony's making it to the end. Fossil's making it to the end. Those are the predictions. Julian. That's not a prediction. That's a wish. Rise. So, does anyone have any predictions that are Hikaru? Okay, so our predictions so far are Fossil, Julian, Loony, Mint, which is certainly optimistic. Ryza, Hikaru, and Silvy as our top 6. Interesting. Yeah, Fulfill, you might be jinxing people. But anyways, I just want, we're not going to confirm anything or deny anything, obviously. I just want you guys to have your thoughts out there as to who it could be. The star gonna get got? Maybe. Julian, Starra, or Starra, Puffy, Silvy, Fossil. Interesting guesses. The year of his husband's return. Anyways. You're not coming back. That's true. It was all a dream. All a terrible dream. But anyways, like I said, on the morning of day 18, the day after the trial, Silvy stands up at the breakfast table and asks if he can say a few words. He says he was sorry for not being more involved. To be honest, he was kind of just scared. He was worried that his strength, his lack of intelligence as a himbo, and kindness would make him vulnerable to anyone who was out there trying to manipulate people, so he just tried his best to stay out of the way. Xabi reached out to give him a hug, definitely just trying to comfort him, saying that, look, at the end of the day, we need to try and be friends here if we're ever going to make it. Ever since day 1, we've been at each other's throats, and look where it's gotten us. We didn't even get a motive last round, they just let us do that to ourselves. And the group falls silent for a second. Xabi's right. The bickering, regardless of how justified they might have felt it was, had only gone on to make things worse. The producers hadn't even had to get involved. It was time to bury their hatchets and move on. If nothing else, to force the producers to actually put on a show. Moving to the afternoon, the surviving Ultimates try their best to get along, and for the most part are doing pretty alright at that. They're pretty successful. They do split up into groups again, but not because of animosity, just to try and get to know each other more. At least, that's what it seems like. Sorry, my nose is getting plugged up. I ruined the delivery there, give me a sec. I'm surprised that nobody's latched onto the fact that it's the virtual killing academy and that maybe we're just speaking Danganronpa 2 about it all. Nobody's been like, that's what this is all about. It's the excuse for why they're still alive. Everyone's like, no, I definitely escaped. Like, Death, I felt, not to get distracted, I was so happy with how the beginning of the Fall of Hope group with all the drama with Henrik and Leo and Death, I found it was really, really fun. That one was such a silly one for me. I had a lot of fun with that, and Death was like, no, it was so sad. And I think, what was it that I said to Death? Where was it? Oh yeah, I said, don't worry, there's a post-credit scene out there where it's revealed that you guys actually secretly escaped and are best friends and are making so many songs together, I promise. But yeah, also, like I said last time, I guess I keep reiterating it throughout, but people come in at different times, so like, it's worth it. Yeah, poor Yuki and Squidgy kind of got caught up in the curse of the musicians in these games. Although so far, our musicians have done all right. The Bard and the rapper, well, I guess the rapper didn't make it very... Tenshi made it to chapter 3. That's not that bad. So someone's bothering me. Anyways, yeah, I guess Siren would count as a musician too. So yeah, the musicians are doing better this time. But like I was saying before I got distracted by myself. Oh, and also, actually, sorry, that was the thing I was going to say and I forgot earlier. We're going to do this again sometime. I'm probably going to do a donathon in October, like to celebrate 2 years. And that was how I did it last time. Like this was a donathon reward. So we'll probably do that again. And if we do, and I'll make a pretty reasonable goal because I want to see it achieved, honestly. This is a lot of fun for me too. We will... there'll be obviously a preference for like people who didn't get in last time, people who submitted but weren't able to make it because there were 57 is already so many people to do this with. But we will interact with base. I mean, yeah. Which also, side note, it's been really, honestly, very heartwarming that people have enjoyed these so much. Like these have been my most viewed streams. Like yesterday, or the one on Tuesday is the highest average viewership I've ever had. And I didn't even have any raids. It was so nice. I was so happy. I was worried that no one was gonna like this weird shit. So it's been cool. But yeah. People who weren't part of this are going to get preferential treatment to some extent, especially people who submitted but weren't able to be included in this round. The people who died early are also going to get, like, if you died in the first chapter, if you were the first death, like Henrik or Vyke, you can come back in. Like, I'll give you a second chance. Just because, like, I feel bad because a lot of people got very excited for these and we were having a lot of fun. Like, the trailer was cool. And there were some people who were, like, very, very hyped for it and died early. And I was like, I just don't want you to feel... I don't want you guys to feel left out. I don't want you to feel bad. So they'll get a chance to come back. They won't get protection. So we could get a, what's her name from Survivor? Francisca. The first one to be double pork chopped. But yeah. But they will get a chance to come back at least. And that applies to everyone too. It'll just be like, the further you made it, basically, like the less preferential treatment you're going to get. Unless you survive at all, which is possible. And we'll get to that when we get to the Superstar round. But anyways, maybe we'll do downward role playing, maybe. But anyways, so everyone splits up into groups again, but not because of animosity, just to get to know each other better. At least that's what it seems. The groups are Tetris and Arya, Hikaru and Brielle, Julian and Tenshi. Wait, not Tenshi. Fuck, that was supposed to be what was it? Starra. Tenshi is not present. How did I forget about that? Look, this is where you can really tell that, like, everything got deleted on me and I had to try and, like, really quickly rebuild it all, which was just very stressful. And sometimes some people got, so again, if there's like a mistake with a name and I say that someone is not present when they should be or someone is present when they shouldn't be, like someone who's dead is in it, trust what's on the screen and to tell you who's alive and dead. Anyways, Tetris and Arya, Hikaru and Brielle, Julian and Starra, Xabi and Silvy, Ryza and Puffy, Loony and Fossil. They've all kind of split up, but they're all just chatting. They're having a good time. And by the time nighttime comes, everyone goes to sleep feeling just a little bit better about themselves. On the morning of day 19, the group gathers for breakfast, anxiously awaiting an incentive announcement. But one still doesn't come. Strange. It's been a while since they got one. In fact, the last one came on day 7. So I had to scroll back in my Google Doc. The Google Doc is 14,000 words. Again, most of that was rewritten in a frenzy before this, so some mistakes have to be excused. I'm sorry. Anyways, yes, the incentive announcement never comes, which is a bit strange. Also, if I forgot to say hi to anyone, make sure to let me know. I will say hi to you, I promise. Anyways, after breakfast, everyone splits up to hang out again, but in a little bit of a different formation this time. You have Arya and Brielle, you have Tetris and Hikaru, you have Xabi and Silvy, you have Puffy, Ryza, and Loony, who seem to have made up, but are not explaining what the fight was about in the first place. And Julian, Fossil, and Starra. On the night of day 19, as everyone prepares for bed, they hear some muffled shouting coming from the lounge. A few Ultimates open their doors to try and figure out what's happening, but before they can really have time to formulate their thoughts, they hear the shouting escalate into someone screaming for help. Before anyone can even get to the end of the hallway, they hear the front door open and then slam, and then the horrifying sound of what sounds like something wet going through a wood chipper. They run out the front door to find said wood chipper covered in blood, neither of which were there before. But before they can react, a falling object slams into the ground in front of them, nearly flattening several Ultimates. No. Hold on, wait. I need to open up the right one of these. No, not an object. A person. Person with blue-green hair. And they were getting along so well. It's Arya, the ultimate siren. But who was it who was in the puddle of blood? Who went through the wood chipper? Well, upon receiving the investigation notes, we get our answer. Tetris Citadel. The evidence report indicates that there were, in fact, 2 deaths. The puddle of blood being Tetris and the other being Arya, obviously. The report says that Arya's death was caused by falling from the top of the lodge building, while Tetris was killed by being fed into the wood chipper, unsurprisingly. The Ultimates get to work investigating until the sun comes up, before it's time for the next class trial. Yeah, again, look, the simulation fucking loves a double kill. This one actually has, I think, oh no, I can't say. I talked about having to rerun these a lot the other day, and it's because it would do too many double kills each time. One of the rules that I had for the simulations having to be rerun was that the first kill can't be a double kill. Most of the other ones could be, but if they were all double kills, I would restart it, because it was like, that doesn't really, A, it just gets harder to write those, and also B, I think it's less entertaining if it's just constantly 3 out at a time. It feels like it's rushing. I want them all to be kind of at the same pace. Wait, did we actually? No, we had 2. In the Fall of Hope, we had Apollo and Henrik. Apollo was killed by Felix and Henrik was killed by Squidgy. The rest of them were double kills. Prediction thingy. Yes, thank you. So, how many people are we down to again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, are we down to 10 now? Oh my god, I think we are. Yeah, we are. Cool. We can put everyone into the prediction. Look, counting is so hard, and it's been such a long day. Also, I haven't eaten very much. I ate, I think, 1 or 2 crepes for breakfast, and then my medication kicked in, so I couldn't eat more. But, also, let me just make sure that I have a screenshot for what happened in Chapter 3, because I'm saving all the predictions, because I think they're really funny. And it's time for a new one. Who is the Blackened of Chapter 4? Thank you for the hydration check, Jinx. It's a real dog. Yeah, ADHD meds, it's really a matter of like, you kind of got to, like, I always try and take them after I eat, but like, if I wake up too late in the day, if it's like noon, it's like, I've got to take the meds or else I'm never going to sleep. So anyways, let's see. Who is still alive to be predicted? We've got Loony, we've got Xabi, we've got Silvy, we've got, we'll put Fossil up here, we'll put everyone in order. We've got Brielle, we've got Hikaru, we've got Starra, we've got Ryza, Puffy, and we've got Julian. Eat beforehand. Yeah, I know. I try and eat beforehand, but like, it, for people who like have never taken that medication before, it truly, like, by the time it kicks in, like, I'm on Concerta, a fairly strong dose of it. Once that shit kicks in, eating is not an option. You're just like straight up, it's not that it's like painful, it's just like you have never felt less hungry in your entire fucking life. Anyways, time to start predicting. Who are you guys going to immediately fucking jump on despite nothing being revealed yet? Yeah, that's also the fun thing about ADHD meds, is that you'll try one and it'll just work completely differently for you than ever. It's like pregnancy in that way, where like everyone gets a randomized result and you really don't know. I tried Vyvance, it made me horrendously depressed. It's never nausea-inducing, but it isn't a great feeling. Also, okay, there we go. Fossil is the first one who gets some points cast against them. So let's see. Like I said, the evidence report indicates that there were 2 deaths. Also, I should say, before I go any further, I forgot about this earlier, but if you notice the background is moving, also, or like all of these assets in terms of like the people who are in it, all of their art, if you put in the exclamation point in their name, you'll get them. You can find who made their art. You can find them. Highly recommend it. All of these lovely, lovely people were willing to help me out and provide their stuff. But let me find Airbus Ramo. Airbus made a 3D model of the Danganronpa V3 trial room. which like absolutely check that out. It's so cool. It's also a VR chat world. That's how I got this footage. Hold on, let me hide them so you can kind of see behind them for a second. Like, this is very cool to me. I put a filter over it. Like, obviously it doesn't look blue. That's just so that it fits with the theme of it. But yeah, Airbus Ramo did a really, really good job with it. It looked very, very cool. If you ever wanted to do like a VR chat Danganronpa sim thing, that's an option for you. And also, they're just very lovely about helping me out with and allowing me to use this. But okay, sorry, back to the murder page. Anyways, VR chat night. That was the only time I've ever opened up VR chat. I wish I had a 3D model though. Anyways, so let's get into the chapter. Starra opens the debate by asking if anyone had heard what Arya and Tetris were arguing about, but nobody seemed to know. Thank you, Fafilia. But yeah, okay. Nobody seemed to know. Ryza pointed out that it sounded like Arya was the one yelling, but he couldn't identify what she'd actually said. Puffy supported this, saying that to him, it sounded like Tetris was the one who'd been screaming for help. Fossil mutters that this was just like the war, to which Loony rolls his eyes. Xabi mentioned that he'd seen Tetris and Arya hanging out a lot throughout the game, but didn't really know what the deal was there. Ryza immediately says that it was a romantic thing. Arya and Tetris were together. Xabi immediately bursts out laughing before apologizing, saying that it was only funny because based on his interactions with Tetris, saying that he didn't really swing that way. The other men in the trial nodded their heads. Tetris had absolutely been hooking up with the other men in the lodge, and none of the women present said that he'd ever even casually flirted with them. But Ryza insisted that it was a romance, at least according to Arya. At this point, Hikaru sighs, before saying that that was correct. Actually, there were a few details they'd found that might help here. Arya had been romantically interested in Tetris because she found it intriguing that he wasn't affected by her Siren song, which Xabi snickered again, and Tetris had been interested in her from a scientific point of view. After all, as someone who is very interested in birds, and birds are known for having some mating calls, he wanted to figure out what was up with the Siren's call. Is that a mating call? Is it something more? At least that was initially the interest from Tetris. Arya was secretly a queen, and in her kingdom, the sign of a strong candidate for marriage was if a man could resist the woman's song. Very heteronormative world, but that's okay. Meanwhile, Tetris was just curious because, as the ultimate ornithologist, like I said, he was interested in what he saw as effectively a mating call for humans. But then, Brielle interjected, he got a bit lost in the sauce. Tetris liked the theatrics, liked playing a character, and pretty quickly he'd forgotten that he'd gotten into his head that he was about to become some sort of underwater king or something. Hikaru interrupted Brielle to say that both of them had found this information and had been trying to figure out what to do with it. Hikaru had wanted to sit on it, with Brielle interrupting again to say that it was because he was also hooking up with Tetris. But Hikaru continued, Brielle had wanted to try and use it to force a murder. She had been gathering evidence to present to Arya with the hopes that it would cause the two of them to fight and Arya to snap at the betrayal. Where's the limbs? Hikaru, meanwhile, didn't want to risk it coming back to bite them in the ass, with Brielle interrupting again, asking if that's also something Tetris was into. So Hikaru had tried to keep it to himself. Brielle said that afternoon, Hikaru and Tetris had gone to hook up, and so Brielle approached Arya, presented her with the evidence, and then brought her to spy on the two of them to prove it. We're getting very dramatic in here. Arya had been furious and had wanted to burst into the room right there and then, but Brielle told her to wait until the evening to make it as easy as possible to get away with it, saying that she'd tell her where the immunity badge was so she could steal it away and survive. Because remember, you can't give it away, but it can be stolen. You can even pretend you have it, you can say you have it, but as long as you don't show it, you're not breaking the rules. Brielle ordered the wood chipper on Arya's behalf and had it set up outside, telling Arya that the badge was up on the roof of the lodge. Which obviously it wasn't. Brielle didn't have it, and how would Arya know she didn't? She was so blinded by rage she didn't even think about it. Sylvie raised a hand and, a little confused, asked what exactly happened here. Brielle rolled her eyes and explained that Arya had killed Tetris, and then either someone pushed Arya or Arya jumped. Since everyone else had been at the front door when the body fell, it seemed pretty obvious that she had jumped. She'd killed Tetris, and then herself. So that was that. She was the Blackened twice over, once for Tetris, one for herself. No one else needed to die here. Hikaru, however, interjected. Brielle was lying to them. She used Arya to commit a murder and then caused Arya to kill herself by lying about the badge, setting her up to jump. The Blackened behind the whole killing must be her, not Arya. Julian, recovering from his fury at his informants not telling him fucking any of this, asks if this wasn't also Hikaru's fault. He had the same information, helped Brielle gather it, he knew Brielle would do this, and even provided the evidence that sent Arya over the edge. If Brielle is guilty, isn't Hikaru? Hikaru, somewhat flustered, said that his only crime was sleeping with someone consensually, and that it's not his fault that Arya didn't like it or that Brielle spied on them. Brielle retorted that without Hikaru's actions, though, she never would have been able to do any of it. However, at this point, the announcers once again interrupt the proceedings. It's time to vote. The Ultimates have to decide who carries the blame, who's responsible for what happened, on whose shoulders does it fall. Let me see where the prediction is at. We'll give it another few seconds. You guys have such interesting voting patterns. Loony's currently at 94%, 91%. You have another, 15 or so. Bonus. I do think it's really funny that actually, let me check. What has been the result from the previous chapters? In chapter 1, Loony had a majority of the vote, and it was, who was in chapter 1? Shit. Chapter 1 was May, who was in 3rd place in that vote. Chapter 2, Fossil had the most votes with 71%, and it was Mint in 2nd place with 23%. In chapter 3, it was Kirito, with Julian having the most votes at 75%. So let's see. I'm going to end the votes now. And find our outcome. Who killed the bird in the beard? That's so stupid. I'm sorry. I thought that one was really funny, but it's so dumb. Who killed John Lennon? That's a really important question. Loony voted for Ryza. Xabi voted for Brielle. Silvy voted for Fossil. Fossil voted for Starra. Rioku is dead. Tenshi is dead. Vyke is dead. Brielle votes for Silvy. Hikaru votes for Starra. Arya is dead. Xabi's pick as well is so funny. Starra voted for Brielle. Mint is dead. Ryza voted for Puffy. Clearly the bitterness is not gone. Bonnie is dead. Puffy voted for Loony. Kirito is dead. Tetris is dead. May is dead. And Julian voted for Brielle. We've yet to have a tie in the last few chapters. And also remember, the votes are still being counted up. The odd one out might still happen, but for now it's Brielle, the ultimate information broker. Isn't that suspicious that Julian keeps getting away with no votes? Isn't that crazy? But yes, our blackened was Brielle. Brielle Foxfire, the ultimate information broker. Which does mean, Hikaru, you now are the only one who is who has that title. The contradiction has been resolved. Julian Solomita would absolutely he would absolutely win a killing game. Ares bullshit would always work. But let's give our points to the Brielle predictors. If Monarch could be the mastermind. Who knows? Let me just make a note of that. Also, yes, for the people at home who want to know, the final voting tally was 82% for Loony, under 1% for Xabi and Silvy, 4% for Fossil, 11% for Brielle, 3% for Hikaru, and nothing for anyone else. So yeah, now it is time to reveal. Oh yeah, shit. I guess I didn't actually remember to put in what happened here. Whoops, that's my bad. I forgot to have that screen active. Anyways, let's discuss what went down. Tetris, the ultimate ornithologist, had been fascinated by the ultimate siren Arya's siren song from the beginning because he found it eerily similar to the mating calls of the birds he studied. Arya was equally fascinated by Tetris' seeming immunity to her song, which, in her culture, was a sign that he was a powerful man who would be a viable match for her as a queen. Unfortunately for her, Tetris was actually just extremely gay, which is why it didn't work on him. Upon learning that he could become a king, though, he simply played along with Arya, telling her that it was definitely because he's super powerful and not just a little bit of a queen himself. However, just because Arya didn't know doesn't mean that the others didn't. Tetris had been sneaking around with more than a couple of the men in the lodge. It's so cute, buddy. And between Hikaru and Brielle, there was no shortage of people who were trading secrets in the lodge. The pair of the brokers, realizing they both had the same secret about Tetris, met to discuss what to do about it. Hikaru wanted to keep it a secret, hoping that it would become more useful down the road, while Brielle wanted to twist the truth a bit to try and get one of them to kill the others so they could progress further in the game. Siren songs can only work on straight people. This is again, the Sirens apparently have a very heteronormative system based on this. God damn it, Fossil. Anyways, yes, Brielle wanted to twist the truth of it to try and get one of them to kill the others so they could progress further in the game. After a heated argument, the two went their separate ways, and Brielle put her plan into action. She had been collecting and or forging evidence of Tetris' many trysts to present to Arya as proof that he was trying to steal her throne, and as a coup de grace, showed Arya that Tetris was with Hikaru at that very moment. Arya, enraged, became easily malleable for Brielle's plotting, and later that night she confronted Tetris. Realizing that he might have gotten slightly in over his head with this bit of role-playing as a future king, he tried to confess and apologize, but it only made Arya angrier. In a blind rage, she dragged him out of the lodge and threw him into the wood chipper before running to the roof of the lounge to get the immunity badge that Brielle had promised her. However, by the time she got there was nothing to find. And Arya realized with a sinking feeling that she'd been played by Brielle all along. Knowing there was no way to defend herself, that everyone would know it was her, she threw herself off the building. And as a result, Brielle became the Blackened, the one behind it all. Brielle. Yeah, fucking... Okay. So while we're waiting for the execution to happen, I'll explain what the Odd One Out thing is. The Odd One Out thing was a twist introduced in the second chapter, where if anyone receives more cumulative votes from all the class trials than there are surviving participants, they'll be executed. So far, no one's gotten close. But also, that was because there were a lot more people. As we move into the final chapters, maybe that'll change. Who knows? Jesus. Anyways. It's not enough for Brielle to simply be found out as the Blackened, as we all know. There must be a punishment. And it's time for the execution of Brielle Foxfire. Whisper Assassin. Brielle opened her eyes to find herself at an interrogation table, strapped into her chair the way so many of her victims had been before when she needed to get a bit of information out of them. A dummy entered the room, dressed in her same outfit, and began whispering gibberish at her just too quiet to hear. Confused, she leaned in, but it only leaned back and left. Then a second dummy entered, did the same thing, and left as well. Frustrated, Brielle began trying to escape the chair, but a third dummy came in and slapped her clean across the face as it whispered some more. And then it left. She continued to struggle, but a fourth came in, this time brandishing a knife. The dummy leaned in, whispered, and sliced at Brielle, just barely nicking her throat. Panicking now, Brielle struggles harder, breaking one arm free just as the fifth dummy entered. As it whispered at her, it swung its arm, but she caught it, only for the dummy's other hand to rise, holding a stun gun. Before she could react, it was fired into her, and the dummy rushed out. The dummies started coming in faster and faster, their whispers becoming louder and louder and quicker each time as they brought in more and more elaborate weapons. However, none of them took a kill shot, and that's when she finally understood what was whispered. What do you know? This was an interrogation. As the attacks got harder and harder, she began desperately trying to spill her secrets, any secret, and for each one she revealed, the dummy would leave without attacking her. However, one only has so many secrets, and once she ran out, they began attacking once again, over and over, until eventually, hours later, the last dummy left the room with a bruised, bloodied, and beaten Brielle lying face down dead on the table. I promise I'm normal and well-adjusted, guys. Please don't think wrong about me for this one. Interrogations go on for a long time. You don't kill your target right away. You gotta make sure you get everything out of them. The Americans in the chat know. This is what you guys do. It's one of your national pastimes. Look, I'm sorry that creative writing happens to be one of my skills. Maybe next time, instead of doing a Danganronpa game, we'll do like what happened in Danganronpa 2 for the first like 5 minutes of it, where it was all just like a happy everyone get along and be friends thing. That's what we'll do. Honestly, I don't understand. Jinx, your country's full of black sites for the Americans to do the torture at. Let's not talk. Super indirect blackening. I mean, maybe. Who's to say? Anyways, with Brielle gone, the numbers continue to shrink. We've got Loony, Xabi, Silvy, Fossil, Hikaru, Starra, Ryza, Puffy, and Julian. 9 left in it. After the execution ended, Julian immediately dragged Hikaru away, furious about being kept out of the loop about so much. Tetris, oh my... Tetris, I'm so sorry, you just died. Okay. To give you some context, Tetris, what happened to you is that from the beginning there was a siren and you were like, hey, I think it's interesting that your song doesn't or seems to resemble a bird's mating call. And she was like, oh my god, a man who doesn't fall for my song. That must mean that he is a viable king. It didn't, it just meant that you were gay. But that's okay. You kept on playing it up though because you really wanted to be the king of an underwater kingdom and didn't really realize that maybe you should also stop hooking up with the men in the lodge, and didn't realize that multiple information brokers were finding out about this and gathering information. And then Brielle exposed you to Arya, and then Arya fed you into a wood chipper because I couldn't think of how to make that happen. So yes, unfortunately you have passed away. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You were homie hopper. You were bouncing your way through the room. But you know what? Brielle, true. Brielle, really not an ally with this one. Love is love. Anyways. One of the things I do feel bad about this, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm like trying to say anything bad about them as people, I promise. None of this is meant to be a slight against anyone. Homie hopping? Yeah, it was... Okay, this is a funny story. This is also not related.
The LGBT community is rich in
Sensibility, has excellent taste, and is full of talented artistic people. Also, I just realized the ad's about to run. Sorry, I'm missing some of the messages that are being held by the auto mod. But yeah, okay. We're going to run the ad right now so we can get it out of the way. Here's some of it. I'm like, yeah, you're basically a saint. I don't know if saints... I mean, you can still be a saint if you top. I'm sure the Catholics think that. Anyways, we're going to run an ad now just to get it out of the way because I've had to snooze it a couple times and I'm running out. Go get some food, go get some water. I'm going to tell a story about Homie Hopper. Well, you're not a saint if you top, but the Catholics will let you become one. They don't let you be a saint if you're a bottom. Anyways, go get your food and water. Go get a bathroom break. I'll explain a funny story about that while we're waiting. Okay. You don't have to be celibate. Those saints fuck like crazy. Anyways, but no. I actually don't know if you do need to be celibate to be a saint. I don't think so, though. Because saints are a different thing. I never said that, Loony. There might have been photos. Brielle just need to get to those. But yeah, the ads just hit. So. Anyways, so the Homie Hopper thing, the reason that sticks in my head a lot is because there was a point where Charli D'Amelio and her boyfriend at the time, I guess, had broken up. This is not drama that I knew anything about, and that's why this happened. I was on TikTok, and I saw the songs from the guy where he's calling her a homie hopper, because I guess she, like, hooked up with his friends or something, question mark? I don't know. I don't care. But my dumbass didn't remember that Charli D'Amelio was a person, and I thought it was about Charli XCX. And in one of the only times where I have, like, ever commented on a TikTok, I inexplicably got really invested in this. Like, oh my god, I like love Charli XCX, but like this is kind of funny. And then I went to sleep. I was also a little bit drunk. That maybe plays a role in this, because the next day I woke up to a lot of comments replying to mine, clowning on me for thinking that Charli D'Amelio was Charli XCX. Love Pink. And I deleted all my comments in shame. But ever since then, Homie Hopper is stuck in my brain as just like an expression. I don't know where else I would have heard that from. Or like where else? I'm sure that it's like an actual expression, but like I think it might actually be the name of the song. Hold on. Is it? Maybe? No, that's a different one that shows up when I look it up. Maybe it's not the name of the song. It is not the one by the artist named PP Cocaine. This is a different song. But yes, okay. I think the ad is over, which means it's... Oh, wait, no. Let me make a note of this. It is time for us to move on to Chapter 5. Class bike in the scenario. Yeah. Alexa, play Side to Side by Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj. Anyways. Well, I mean, you didn't go out having fun. You had fun shortly before you went out, but definitely not when you went out. Anyways, on to Chapter 5. I don't know why all of these slides are like misplaced. I'm a little bit annoyed about that, but whatever. Anyways, let's go back to our fun, happy, excited music. And now we enter into Chapter 5. The bigger they are. Also, some of these are Fusion Frenzy references because Frozen Frenzy. I thought it was funny. Who knows? It's as many chapters as it takes for us to get down to 6 people. Or kill the mastermind. Way to win World of the Kings. Hell yeah. I mean, have you seen Xabi? And also, the bigger they are might just mean presence-wise. Some of these people have been big talkers. Who's to say? Also, you will note that there has not been a new incentive introduced for a while. Anyways. On the morning of day 20, the survivors meet once again for breakfast, and Silvy stands once again to immediately take back what he said the last time. You bitches cannot be trusted. I'm gonna go prepare myself. Grabbing Xabi by the arm, they both leave, with Xabi saying he's gonna go out to train in the woods. Xabi, being dragged around by a big, strong, beefy man, simply does not protest this. The others, while a bit confused, continue to eat in silence. As it moves into the afternoon, Silvy and Xabi seem to still be out in the woods training somewhere. Starra suggested someone like bring them their winter clothes or some hot chocolate or something, but nobody really wants to do anything. After all, what's even the point? They'll be dead soon, or they'll be back soon. Either way, why bother? As day turned to night, however, more of the Ultimates began to get concerned. Not concerned enough to do anything necessarily, but concerned nonetheless. You guys are not seeing heaven. Anyways, the Ultimates gathered for breakfast the next day, the morning of day 21, but Silvy was noticeably absent. And immediately, suspicions turned to Xabi before he even got a chance to sit down. Xabi just said they'd mostly hung out in the woods and had come back sometime around like midnight or so. And then he saw Silvy go back to his room last night. Hi, Breeders. Hi, Kumi. Welcome in. Hi, Luca. Hi, Krim. Hi, Deck. Welcome in, everybody. How are you? Hold on. Let me get a shout out for... Hi, Kumi. Welcome in. So many friends. Hi. How are you? How are your special events? What were you up to today? For all the raiders, welcome in. My name is Vivras. I'm a variety streamer. I play a whole bunch of stuff. Right now we're doing, or I usually do visual novels, shooters, and I make video essays over on YouTube, which you can find over here. But right now we're doing something special. We're doing a Danganronpa simulation where we put a bunch of random people into a website and see what it says about who kills who. You guys are getting in on the beginning of chapter 5. So as you can see, there have been some deaths. There has been some pussy love, and that's true. Alexa played Good Looking by Dallas Dixon. Birthday to... All right. Yes. Happy birthday to Kumi. I hope your birthday stream's been going good. I hope you've been having a good time. I hope you've eaten some cake. And yeah, welcome in, everyone. If you're curious about what we're doing, by the way, or for anyone who hasn't seen it already, you can check out the full previous round, which is the Fall of Hope, in the pinned comment. You can stick around for this one. And if you would really like to, you can come back on Saturday when a certain somebody, I don't know, somebody who maybe just rated me is going to be part of the group. Part of our last group of original runs before we get to our All-Stars go. But yeah, so just a recap for everybody as well. I wonder who that could be. But yeah, actually, someone else. Yeah. Oh my god, there's so many people who are going to be. Oh yeah, there's Aston, there's Kumi, there's Jinx, there's Krim. Who else is here who's going to be part of that group? I don't know if there's many more. I might be forgetting people. If I am, I promise it's not personal. But, yeah, Aston, Kumi, Jinx, Krim. Debbie will be there, but Debbie's... I was just going off the people who are already here. We gotta get the whole roster of everyone. Eat dinner lurk. For sure. Thank you for the lurk, Kumi. Have a good dinner. Oh, bah. So, to catch everyone up on what happened here, after the deaths, I guess I should say, of Tetris and Arya at the hands of Brielle, maybe indirectly, but still at the hands of them by the mind of the producers. The survivors met for breakfast, and Silvy stood to immediately take back what he said the last time that they met. Bitches can't be trusted. Fuck all y'all. I'm gonna go train out in the woods, and brought Xabi for reasons unknown. Xabi did not protest because, you know, Xabi. They didn't come back throughout the day, but everyone went to sleep. And in the morning, Silvy was noticeably absent, and suspicions turned to Xabi before he even sits down. Xabi said they'd mostly just hung out in the woods and had come back sometime around midnight, and that he saw Silvy go back into his room last night. The group went to check. But strangely enough, Silvy's bed looked perfectly made. Something wasn't adding up. Concerned about where Silvy might be, the group split up to look for him. Xabi, Julian, Starra, and Ryza searched the lodge, while Loony, Puffy, Fossil, Hikaru, and Julian searched outside. Going through the minds of all of the Ultimates right now is that, with 9 left alive, there might have been a double kill, or there might still be one. And if that's the case, this could be their last trial. Oh shit, battle.net, why are you opening? This is not the time. Was Julian in both groups? Wait. Julian was in both groups, hold on. Who did I forget? This is one of those things where, like, I was panicking trying to rewrite my stuff after I got deleted. No, you were right. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think it was because, sorry, Julian wasn't supposed to be in the second group. It was because in my brain I was like, oh, 9 people. Let me just write all the 9 people who are alive. But Silvy is not on the search. I know I'm safe. Are you? Is anyone safe? Anyways. Okay, battle.net, fuck off. I don't want to play Overwatch in general, but especially not right now. I'm busy. So yeah, like I said, concerned about where Silvy might be, the group split up to look for him. Xabi, Julian, Starra, and Ryza searched the lodge, while Loony, Puffy, Fossil, and Hikaru search outside. Those are damn. I didn't know how to make that vibe come across as much, Fossil, but I hope you've gotten that at least sometimes here. Anyways, you're calling me. They're not calling me. They're not allowed to. It's illegal. Anyways, Loony mentions that Xabi had said they'd been in the woods, so they made a beeline for the trees. And not far past the tree line, they found what they'd become accustomed to at this point. Yes, it is. Oh wait, why is this not fixed? Oh my god, it says the ultimate strong right now. That's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be the ultimate himbo. It's possible it's some of my old... Actually, wait, that shouldn't have been there at all. Wait, what? I don't know how that managed to get in there. Anyways, Silvy dieted. Rip Silvy, the ultimate himbo. So much of a himbo that his data somehow managed to get swapped back to his old ultimate before. Okay, so the reason why... Some people's changed. Actually, I think Silvy's was the only one that changed. Because when I made the thing with all of the... Oh, shit. Let me not press too many wrong buttons here. Where are they actually? Do I have them here? They should be in here somewhere. Let me find it real quick. I will show you what I mean. Also, actually, let me start the voting real quick. Let's do that. The predictions. So, who is the Blackened of Chapter 5? Remember, we still have 8 people left alive, which means that whoever this Blackened is probably won't be the last one, presumably. Let's see how where does heart. Oh my god. The death sound is that death sound is like the least distorted of all of them because they're all. I thought that there was at least one where like it was pretty straightforward, but no, they all are like staticky and weird and off-putting. Leonie, Sylvie's no longer in this. Fossil, Brielle is no longer in this. I'm just copying the last one and deleting the people who are no longer part of it. Hikaru, Starra, perfect. So, who is the Blackened of Chapter 5? Who's the mastermind? Who could it be? Ignore again that Sylvie's ability is not that. Or, you know, that was what I was going to find. Where is it? I made the little, like, gear spinning intro card things. Where are they? Which, by the way, I will be I'll put everything in a Google Doc eventually and, like, send them to people so you guys can actually, like, have them and download them. And we might make some more of the animated, like, the intro ones. Where are they? Fuck. Sorry, my computer is a mess right now. I can't find anything. Oh wait, this is the Fall of Hope one. You know, whatever. This is the Fall of Hope one. So these things, I sent these to everybody who made them. Or everyone who was in it. Just to like show them what I was working on. Oh god, so many people who did not make it. Some people who did though. Anyways, and I sent this to Sylvie and Sylvie was like, oh wait, could I get some like variants of that? And asked for, let me see if I can find the message actually, because it was kind of funny. Where is it? Yeah, I sent it, and Sylvie was like, oh heck yeah, that's cool. Weird thing to ask, but could I get a version that says Ultimate Dipshit? Also, I guess Himbo would make more sense than Strongman, so I like changed it to Himbo. Also made one that was Ultimate Dipshit, just like for a meme for him. And then, yeah. So Sylvie asked for a special one to be made that was let me see if I can find it so I don't get the wording wrong. If you follow Sylvie, you've probably seen it because he posted a lot as his like as a reaction image, which just says, "You little pipsqueak, shut the fuck up," which jump scares me every fucking time I see it, but it's so funny to me. It's great. I think it's fun. But yeah, so that's that's why there's some mistakes with Sylvie's, because it was supposed to always be the Ultimate Himbo and it got changed. I guess some stuff didn't get adjusted for whatever reason. I don't even know how, but whatever. We'll figure it out. My voice is starting to hurt more, but that's okay. Oh yeah, prediction started. What are the predictions looking like so far? Oh, of course, 97% for Loony, 2% for Julian, and 1% for Xabi. Interesting choice. Yeah, Tenshi wanted me to get one that said kill yourself, and I was like, no, actually, I don't think I'm going to make that for you, and certainly not on stream. Don't be stupid. Anyways, we have a dead Himbo, and everyone seems unconcerned about that. So, the murder details. Sylvie was found with dumbbells frozen to his hands and his mask shattered into his face. He appeared to have been stumbling around significantly, and his death or time of death was sometime during the morning. There was some damage to some of the nearby trees. They looked like they'd been hit by something, but there didn't seem to be any residue on the trees from what had been hit. But after quick investigation, we enter into a class trial. Also, hi, Chase. I don't know if the twink is dead. I think the least twink has died. But was it an accident with no blackened? We'll have to see. Right away, everyone immediately points the finger at Xabi. After all, he had been with him all day yesterday. Xabi did lie about him coming back, and then he died where Xabi said they'd been hanging out. Xabi, who's feeling a little bit unimpressed with everyone's tones right now, asks if they're willing to give him like just a minute to explain what happened. First, yes, he did lie about Sylvie coming back to the lodge with him. He had left him alone last night after Sylvie had tried to attack him with those dumbbells, and Xabi had run back to the lodge to try and get some help. However, once he got back, he noticed that Sylvie wasn't following him, and when he got quiet, he heard the sound of Sylvie groaning in pain. He went back and saw that Sylvie's mask had shattered into his face, blinding him and leaving him scrambling on the ground. However, when Sylvie heard Xabi's breathing, he kept trying to lash out. So Xabi ran back in fear and hid in his room. Think about like, I can't remember her name in Kill Bill Part 2 when she gets her eyes plucked out. That's the vibe that we're going for here. He'd hoped that Silvy would have come back so he could expose him at breakfast the next day, but when he wasn't there, Xabi realized that Silvy might have died out there, and that it would look incredibly suspicious on him if he had. So he made up a lie on the spot, hoping to buy time to figure out how to explain himself. He apologized for deceiving everyone, but it was just a moment of panic. He didn't kill Silvy, but he was worried they'd think he had. Eye patch lady, yes. The others are honestly a bit unsure of how to take this. Then Loony realizes something. Why were the dumbbells frozen to Silvy's hands? Xabi said they'd been out there for like, I don't know, 12 hours, and Silvy had just kept lifting weights the whole time. I wasn't really sure what Silvy was planning, but when night fell, he suddenly lashed out and started yelling at Xabi about how are you not fucking cold or something before trying to punch him, and then that was when they both realized that the dumbbells had just frozen to his hands. Xabi said that Silvy kept trying to pummel him with the dumbbells, but he kept missing because he was, thrown off a bit, so he just ran away. Starra points out that that doesn't explain why he didn't just, like, tell them, right? Like, he could have just said Silvy tried to attack me. Also, she points out that this doesn't make any sense. Like, why would Silvy wait an entire day to attack him out in the woods? Julian interrupts to ask Xabi to clarify something. Did Silvy say, how are you not fucking cold? Xabi confirms that, and Julian nods to Hikaru as if to indicate that he wants him to speak. Hikaru sighs and rolls his eyes before saying that they had found out that Silvy was Canadian a while back. The rest of the group gasps in shock and horror at this terrible revelation, and that the how are you not fucking cold comment was probably because neither of them had been wearing winter clothes. Silvy would of course be resistant to cold because he was from the Great White North, but Xabi picks it up from there, saying very matter-of-factly that hoes don't get cold. Seemingly accepting this as fact, Julian continues. So, is it possible that Silvy, not knowing this about hoes and or not realizing Xabi was a true hoe, lured him out into the woods hoping he would freeze to death? I am Canadian, yes. The others, after thinking about this for a moment, start to nod. That makes some sense. In a very himbo kind of way. But Hikaru raises another point here. The mask. How did it break? Actually, Puffy raises another point. Xabi hadn't sat down at breakfast. And come to think of it, I don't think he'd sat down since. Why? Xabi retorted that he just didn't need to sit. Like, why is this a topic of discussion? But Puffy pressed on. What if, hypothetically, you had sat on something that hurt? Xabi and the others laughed. Like, you don't get the cold immunity powers if you can't handle a big... Puffy interrupts. Not that. What if, say, you sat on Silvy's mask? What if that's how it broke? Xabi laughs again, because that's just ridiculous. But this time no one else was laughing with him. Silvy wouldn't have broken the mask himself. There was no fragment of it on the trees for him to run into, and he wouldn't have smashed it with a dumbbell. And Xabi's ass is in fact fat enough to do the job. Xabi, realizing that the tide is turning against him, opens his mouth to argue. But Hikaru speaks first. Look, he says, I think it's probably Xabi here, and I think we should absolutely vote him out. Xabi tries to speak again, but Hikaru keeps going. However, if we vote out Xabi here, we're down to 7, and that means someone else is going to get another kill before we can leave, and there won't be a way to hold them accountable. And Starra, who had been deliberately remaining quiet here, went pale. She had a feeling she knew where this was headed. Hikaru continues. The last incentive that we were given, all the way back on like day 7, was the odd one out incentive. Anyone with more votes than there are surviving ultimates gets executed without a trial. And after this trial, there will be 7 surviving ultimates. And there's someone who's currently at 7 votes. All we need is for at least one person to vote for them and we'll get out of here. Who's the one? Julian asks. Well, Hikaru says, maybe enjoying the theatrics of the moment a bit. This person received 3 votes in May's trial, none in Mint's, 2 in Corrido's, and 2 in Brielle's, bringing them up to 7. We need to vote out Xabi, so that's out of the question. It wouldn't matter how many votes he has. Julian hasn't received any votes somehow so far. Hikaru himself only has 2 against him. Loony has 3, Fossil has 3, and Puffy has 5. In order for anyone but Starra to become the odd one out, we would need at least 3 votes each for Puffy and Xabi. And that's just too risky. What happens if one person too many votes for Puffy and we all go? So what I'm proposing is that you guys vote for Xabi and I'll vote for Starra. And that's enough to get us out of here. The group, hearing the plan, is sick to their stomachs. And internally, Hikaru does a little cheer. They really haven't figured out his true ability. Starra, meanwhile, is sobbing in the corner, knowing there's no way that she can fight back here. And the immunity badge she'd held onto this whole time would do nothing to save her. She stuttered through tears that she'd been hoping Xabi would just kill one more person. In fact, she grabs the immunity badge from her pocket and throws it at him, screaming at him that if he'd only done what he fucking needed to, he wouldn't have gotten her killed too. But it's too late. The announcer comes on to announce that it's time for the vote. Oh wow, the prediction actually ran out. For the crowd back home, 4 people received votes. Puffy and Julian both received under 1% of the vote or points. Loony received 5% of the points, and Xabi received 95%, which I believe makes this the first time anyone other than Loony or Fossil got the most votes. But like I said, it's too late. It's time to cast the votes. And so, here we go. This one also has some solos. I don't guess that makes sense. Anyways, maybe he's the mastermind, or maybe he's just not the ultimate information broker. Loony votes for Xabi. Xabi votes for Starra. Silvy is dead. Fossil votes for Julian. Just make sure Julian doesn't get out of here with a perfect record. Rioku is dead. Tenshi is dead. Vyke is dead. I'm glad these took me so long. Brielle is dead. Hikaru votes for Starra. Arya is also dead. Starra votes for Julian as well. Mint is dead. Bryza votes for Xabi. Bonnie is dead. Puffy votes for Xabi. So close, Monarch. Honestly, I'm shocked you got that far. I love the legal system too. Corito, Tetris, and May are dead, and Julian votes for Ryza. One of the only people who didn't vote for you. But who is our blackened? As if it was a surprise. Xabi the Blackened. Now, something I want to mention to you guys before we move on to any other part of this is that, like I said, I asked everyone to provide some details. They were allowed to tell me some information about themselves that they wanted included. They were allowed to kind of like provide just in general. Let me just find what Xabi said. Where are you in here? So when I asked, is there anything you would want me to keep in mind when it comes to in the simulation? Actually, okay. For the ultimate, Xabi said, I lift my shirt up and whoever sees my chest gets negative 100 HP for nosebleed, because Xabi misunderstood what ultimate was. Hi, Eel. When asked for gender identity, Xabi said icon, she, them, titties, and then in brackets, male, he, him. And I said, what is your sexuality? Would you be comfortable with it being mentioned? Xabi said, F-slur, yes. I'm censoring it because I don't want to get banned. And then when I said, is there anything you would want me to keep in mind for you in the simulation? And Xabi said, how many shrimps do you have to eat before you make your skin turn pink? Eat too much and you'll get sick. Shrimp are pretty rich. Badoop, 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 badoop. A lot of people misunderstood the ultimate, including people who I know are very into Danganronpa, which was really funny to me. But yes, that was what Xabi submitted. And then when I talked to Xabi a bit more, he was like, I don't know, just smothered in ass and titties. And I was like, that's so valid of you, Xabi. Yeah, this is very, for the people who don't know Xabi, this might sound a little bit off. For anybody who knows Xabi, you're like, yeah, that is the most Xabi thing that he possibly could have said. But anyways, let me figure this out. Oh yeah, we need to explain how he did it. Not that that one's going to be necessarily the hardest, but we must do it nonetheless. Xabi's great. Absolutely recommend. Actually, wait, hold on. I can put the thing in there before we explain it. Xabi Xyn. Yes. How did it happen? How did it go down? Well, Xabi, the ultimate Lapdancer, was getting increasingly frustrated with the lack of men available to him at this point. He is a born and bred hoe, and being down to just a handful of men was a real problem for him. As he became more and more down bad, someone realized they could take advantage of the situation to kill him in a way that couldn't possibly be traced back to themselves. Silvy, the ultimate Himbo, Silvy, the ultimate Himbo, had been spending more and more time training outdoors and indoors, especially after the death of Rioku and realizing it was an option. Sorry, apparently I deleted a sentence in here. I got confused. As a Canadian, Silvy was accustomed to the cold, and his plan was to bring Xabi out into the woods and simply continue working out until Xabi, who was unable to stop himself from staring, eventually froze to death. What Silvy didn't account for was that, while Canadians are used to the cold, hoes don't get cold at all. And as the hours passed and day turned to night, Silvy began to get delirious from the cold that was getting to him, and also from exhaustion. After all, he'd been pumping iron with dumbbells that had long since frozen to his hands. He was baffled at how the Fazoon in the crop top was somehow unperturbed by the cold, and eventually, he snapped, screaming at Xabi that he should have already been dead and that he was just gonna have to do it himself, I guess. Xabi, realizing somehow at this point only what Silvy had been planning and why he'd invited him out into the woods, was able to easily defend himself. Those muscles that he had weren't just for show, and unlike Silvy, he hadn't spent an entire day working them into exhaustion. Eventually, Xabi tripped Silvy up with his tail before landing a devastating butt slam right onto Silvy's face. Or rather, onto his mask, which proceeded to shatter directly into his face, blinding him. Hi, Bagels. You certainly came into an interesting one. After being blinded, Silvy flung himself around in a blind, frenzied panic. Dumbbells still frozen to his hands as he slammed into trees, and Xabi fled back to the lodge, pretending he'd been in his room all night. I'm sad that Xabi wasn't here to hear it. I feel like he would have been proud of that one.
The community is rich in
Sensibility, has excellent taste, and is full of talented, artistic people. I'll drink my water, thank you, Fossil. Yes, this is the lovely Xabi Xyn. What a sweetheart. But yes, Xabi is our Chapter 5 Blackened. God damn it. But as we all know, a Danganronpa chapter doesn't end with finding out the Blackened, it ends with the execution. And for Xabi Xyn, it was the way he lived. Xabi wakes up to find himself back in his ultimate lab, only this time with dozens of dummies dressed up as big beefy Bara men. Xabi, a little confused, initially just walks around. This seems more like a reward than an execution. However, given that nobody's been attacking him, he lets his guard down. And that's when one of the dummies grabs him and leads him to a private room to give him a dance. As the ultimate lap dancer, Xabi knows the finer points of his technique, and while the dance isn't perfect, maybe a little too rough, it's a solid 9 out of 10. The next dummy comes in, and again, maybe a bit rough, but still good. Xabi becomes so enraptured by the men dancing on him that he hasn't even realized that the chair he's in has restrained him. He couldn't leave even if he wanted to, but it's Xabi. It's not like he'd want to anyways. Soon, the dummies start coming in pairs, smushing Xabi into the chair, but still not like he'd complain. Then, 3 at a time, then 4, then 5, and 6, and more until Xabi's being absolutely suffocated under the weight of all these thick-ass dummies. Eventually, they all pile out of the room, revealing Xabi flat as a pancake, crushed into the chair with a smile on his face. I'm so sorry, that's so dumb. And so, Xabi is out. But it's not over yet. The odd one out twist is still in play, as I Mitsuru. There are 7 people left, and one of the ultimates happens to have accumulated 9 votes. Wait, there we go. The ultimate bard, Starra. And the execution must continue. For the ultimate bard, it is time for the odd one outlands. Also, something I will be honest in advance. This one's kind of the one I think was the most ridiculous. In its own, not the most ridiculous. I like this one for dumb reasons. Anyways, the execution is called Odd One Outlands. Starra and the rest of the ultimates find themselves dragged up into the air and then dropped into a strange abandoned mall, with Starra strapped to a fountain in the middle of the area. Looking around, the other ultimates spot sets of scuba gear, and only a second after their confusion hits their faces do they hear an alarm sound. Water begins pouring in from the ceiling, quickly filling up the mall. The other ultimates rush to put on the scuba suits, looking apologetically at Starra as she's strapped to the fountain, only to see her laughing. She's lost it, they think, but then she speaks. I'm a fucking fish, you idiots. I can breathe underwater. She laughs and laughs, and the others begin to almost laugh with her a bit. Maybe they'll all survive after all. They finish putting on their scuba suits as the water reaches waist height, and Starra hasn't stopped laughing. Or maybe crying happy tears? Who's to say? The water rises to her neck, then her chin, then her mouth. And as if to show off how safe she is, Starra takes a big gulp of water, only to spit it back out with panic in her eyes as she coughs. It's fucking salt water, she screams. I can't... But she's cut off by the water rising past her mouth to her nose, leaving her gurgling. The other ultimates, unable to stomach this, begin looking for their way out. Fossil spots a tunnel off to the side, and once all the survivors are inside it, a glass door closes behind them and the water drains out. Pulling off the scuba suits, they can't help themselves but watch through the window as Starra's struggles become weaker and weaker, until she eventually stops struggling at all. And with that... Oh, we don't need to rotate back to that one, my bad. We've lost the final ultimate before we get to the ending. Sorry, this bit needs to be hidden. But look at that. Is the final 6. Our survivors. I don't know, whatever. It was kind of funny when we did the predictions earlier on. A shocking amount of you guys got it actually almost exactly right. Yes, the cartoon dogs have survived. But yeah. This is Fight You. I don't think that's true. But yeah, that one is also a very stupid reference to Fusion Frenzy. Odd One Out is like a mini game in that where they get stuck in an abandoned mall, and there's 4 people, and there's always one less orb in the arena than there are people, and whoever doesn't have an orb at the end gets eliminated, and they just keep going. I thought that one was silly. I thought it was fun. But yeah, that's our second round, Frozen Frenzy. Our survivors are Loony Frinkelboom, the ultimate jokester, Fossil, the ultimate silly puppy, 9 exclamation points. Hikaru, the ultimate the ultimate broker, allegedly. Ryza, the ultimate swashbuckler, Captain Ryza, sorry, I need to give you your honorifics. Puffy, the ultimate sangomancer, and Julian, the ultimate monarch. Our 6 survivors will return on Sunday, September 1st for the Summertime Stars round, alongside our survivors from the previous round, which were... Hold on, wait, let me get the... briefly spacing on who it all was. Also, we'll go through some stats of this in a second. They'll be going up against Camellia, Cottony, Fubuki, J1, Nyansame, and Puppo. So we've got 12 of our 19, I guess 13 because I'm going to be in it. And then we'll have 6 more people as decided on Saturday. Also, okay, let's go through some stats here. Also, remember, I should remind people, I guess, with Starra's death, the Odd One Out challenge, because remember I said earlier on, it was a motive specifically introduced by the Mastermind. The Mastermind is responsible for the death of Starra. Welcome in, Fubuki. I'm sorry to tell you that nobody has been bullied quite like you. Although Starra did get almost as many votes as you did. Starra ended up with 9 in total. And Credo ended up with 8. But no one's broken your record yet. Also, how you doing? I hope your sleep was good regardless. But yeah, so our survivors, Ryza, Fossil, Hikaru, Julian, Loony, and Puffy. Of this bunch, the most votes against anyone was Puffy with 5. Ryza had 4 against. Fossil and Loony both had 3, and Hikaru and Julian both had 2, with Julian making it all the way to the very last round before getting 1. Yes, Ryza and Puffy will get to deal with their plot in the next round. Yeah, you got a shocking amount of votes. I don't even really know how. Like, you were only in it for When did you vote? You went out at the end of chapter 3. Certainly the highest amount of votes per chapter, I think. American keeping it. Hell yeah. But yeah, so of the survivors, unlike with the last round, nobody who survived was ever in a tie. You guys didn't have, like, I think there was one tie, and it was between Starra, May, and Corito, I think, for the first round. Yeah. That was the only one. The randomizer liked you guys more and was more decisive. In terms of voting record, Fossil never voted correctly. Ryza, Hikaru, Loony, and Puffy got it right once, and Julian actually got it right twice. So not only did you have like very few votes against you, you also got it right a bunch. That's good. Now, out of our victims, Vyke, dead. No opportunities to vote. Rioku, 0 votes against, 0 ties, and did not vote correctly the one time that they got a chance to vote. Bonnie had 2 votes against, 0 ties, and got it right one of the 2 times. Tenshi, also dead in chapter 3, had 2 votes against, 0 ties, and a 1 out of 2 voting record. Did any artists survive? I mean, I guess it depends on if you count Fossil. What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, no. So in chapter 4, Arya and Tetris went out. Arya had 5 votes against, was in 0 ties, and had a 0 for 3 voting record. Tetris had 4 votes against and a 1 for 3 voting record. Silvy died in chapter 5, had 2 votes against, 0 ties, and a 1 out of 4 voting record. And I technically have Starra as chapter 6 because I was originally going to separate it differently, and then I was like, actually, wait, no. I didn't decide until pretty late on that I was going to have the odd one out twist be the thing, because I really like that. That one I was proud of. That one worked out really well. But Starra died in chapter 6/end of chapter 5 with 9 votes against, had 1 tie, and had a 3 out of 5 voting record. So the best in the game. And then of our blackened, we had May, who went out first. Mint, who went out second, or both of them had 3 votes against, neither of them voted correctly, obviously. Korea went out in chapter 3 with 8 votes against, had been part of 1 tie, the one with May and Starra in the first round, and had a 0 for 3 voting record. Brielle went out in chapter 4 with 4 votes against, 0 ties, and a 1 for 4 voting record. And Xabi went out in chapter 5 as our blackened with 4 votes against, 0 ties, and another 1 for 5 voting record. And then even the jacket redeemed zombie, also how are you? But yeah. Fossil is an escape artist for microwaves. That is very true. I really want to tell you guys what the execution was going to be. Because I said, like, so the original plan was going to be for, it wasn't to have the odd one out twist. It was going to be like a chapter 6 where someone, like, where they were all kind of like anxiously waiting for something to happen, and then the mastermind would kill the one more person. It was going to be Starra regardless, because that was what the simulation said. But I'm doing good. I'm exhausted. This has been busy, but this is so much fun. I like these a lot. What was I gonna say? Fuck. But yeah, they were gonna be killed by the mastermind in a different way. But then I was like, anything I do might give away too much of a hint anyways. So having the open out twist also kind of works for that. You know what? I am very excited to see what the All-Stars game is going to be. Okay, no worries, right? We're pretty much done. We're just sort of chatting to wrap it up. Actually, there's an ad that's about to run. I've run out of snoozes, so I apologize. The ad's going to run for a little bit here. Don't be mad at me. We'll keep on just yapping and yapping. But yeah, I will say part of the difficulty with this one is that the simulation, again, really wanted to do double kills, and I couldn't get it to give me one that had it in like a single kill for at least the first round. And the difficulty is based on the number of double kills it does, it affects whether or not we end up with 5 chapters or 6. So like this one technically has 6 in the simulation. But yeah, there's a... Man, I don't know. I'm glad people are having fun. I really do apologize that I started so late this time. That was absolutely not the plan. Shit got deleted and messed up. Yesterday I've been hoping to have more time to set things up, but I was with family. Thankfully, tomorrow all I have to do is a Dance Central 3 stream, which means I've got all day before that to work on this shit and get everything sorted, everything figured out, and then we'll be good to go. Speaking of, tomorrow's group is... Let me just also reiterate some of those. Wait, hold on. Oh, who voted for Julian? It was, let me find it. Fossil and Starra voted for you. But yeah. What I think is interesting is, like, I did, like I told you guys, like, there's a mastermind. I also have a protagonist in mind for each one. I can't tell you who they are until the end. But I did use their voting records. I did use sort of, like, their role kind of within the, like how the simulation treated them to kind of try and figure things out, like the voting, all that. I can't say who the protagonist was, but just like with the last one, there was a protagonist and a mastermind, and maybe they didn't survive. Who knows? I can't say who today's protagonist was, because the thing with that twist is that it's possible that Starra was the mastermind, which means they got their mastermind out of the way, but they won't get a confirmation on that because they've, you know, escaped. Or maybe she was the protagonist, or maybe she was just an extra. We can't confirm any of it. We'll have to wait until the summertime stars to see if any of these people end up being this. No, I mostly just stuck to these roles because I don't want to have to try and keep track of too much. There's so many people and there's so much happening, and there's too many things to deal with before that works. Also, I suppose the ad didn't actually run. Sorry, it'll run now. But yeah, again, also, I'm really glad this one, on one hand, I'm glad there weren't as many ties, but also the ties kind of made it fun in the first round, right? Because it was like everyone just sort of, we had to kind of balance it off or against each other. And then in the final round, we got to have a tie, a forced tie between, what was it, Fubuki and Reverie, right? Yeah, that one was fun. I like that. This is so much fun. This is like a little creative writing exercise too, which, like, I like doing my writing for my video essays, but like I don't get to do storytelling stuff, and like it might shock you guys. That's something I really like to actually. That was what I was going to study in university for a while. It was going to be English literature and stuff. I wrote a couple of like books when I was a kid, like full length like novels and stuff. I self-published a couple of them and then deleted them all because I was embarrassed. But yeah, they were, yeah, it is basically, like, that's sort of the idea behind it. I was like, it's a challenge for me because I have to try and figure that out. Also, thank you, Jinx. Okay, also, if anyone wants to go see the VoDs, you can find all of them on the VoDs channel. This one will be uploaded. It says 24 hours, but it'll be 9 hours. In the pinned comment, you can also see the most recent one. Also, honestly, really glad with like the runtime of these. 3 hours is basically perfect because I feel like that's like long enough to be entertaining, but also like I was kind of terrified because like these things, this was sort of meant to be like kind of a stand-in for a Smasher Pass. And if you've ever watched a Smasher Pass, you know that the first hour and a half or so are people spending 10 minutes on each design for the most part. And they're like, oh shit, we can't be here for 12 hours and we've only gotten through like 5 people. So they start rushing, but it still takes 5 hours and they're like, I didn't get to everyone. We'll try and do another one. And I was kind of worried that that was what's going to happen to me. This is not a call out to anybody in particular. I love all my friends who have done Smasher Passes. And if that's you, trust me, I get it. That would be me. That's why I didn't do one. And I did this instead. And instead it's like run out really well. Also, that's the first pop we've got, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. I've had fun with this. Like I said before as well, if you participated in this and you've died, make sure to keep an eye out. We'll do another round of these probably soon after the next Donathon, which will be happening in October. Even if you didn't die or even if you weren't part of it, also keep an eye out because who knows, maybe we'll have room for more people. Maybe we'll do more rounds. Maybe what we'll do is like stretch goals. We'll just have like every $100 there'll be another season of it. Oh, that sounds like a lot. But anyways, we'll figure it out. The point is more so like this has been a lot of fun. It's been very enjoyable. I'm very excited to see how the Despair Downpour group ends up going, which, oh yeah, right. That was what I was going to find. Despair Downpour arc. This is Demi, the Ultimate Dancer, Lunex, the Ultimate Rebel Leader, Lunex Kurisu, the Ultimate Rebel Leader, sorry. God damn it, I jinxed it. Honestly, at this point, it's mostly the, like, this is the easy part. This is the fun part. All of those animations, like, hold on, let me pause the music for a second. Each one of the, like, voting videos, this is actually, well, let me explain it. So, I'm not good at this stuff, and I don't know how to do it in an intelligent way, so I did it in the way that made sense to me, which is that I I just made a shitload of PNGs. So the chapter 5 voting video, for example, has 98 PNGs in it that are all moving very fast through one another. Which is why it looks like this. Also, the reason why it still shows the dead people voting is because this way I can standardize it into like a template. And I can just make a new one really easily. So like when the person shows up, that's one PNG. When the portrait shows up, that's a second PNG. And when they disappear, that's a third one. But I'm also really proud of how they turned. They were fun. Amazing. Oh, thank you. I'm just glad that it hasn't been like weird and cringe to people. Also, the next time I do this, I'm definitely going to have a better idea of what I want from it, which will make it a lot easier to be like, oh yeah, no, like please send me a PNG that looks like this, like pose like this, in this position, whatever, like this is what I mean by a profile picture, it'll be in these slots type of deal. This time I'm mostly just like, hey, can you send me like a profile picture and a picture, like a full body? I didn't even really have a plan for the trailer at that point. I knew I wanted to do the trailer and I'd pick the song, which that was also stupid. That's a 3.5 minute long song. But yeah, all of these are also a PNG. Every time a blackout card shows up, that's a PNG. This is a new PNG. I would have put an effect on it, like with the coins flying out like they do in the game, but I couldn't find one. Also, no energy. But yeah. And then these ones are also all a PNG. You can't really see it, and I kind of regret that I put in so much effort, but there's a little glow that shows up around their portrait each time it shows them. You can kind of see it more when there's like more contrast behind them. But it's like a blue and purple kind of neon glow around it. Plus everyone has their names and everything like that. Also the blackened screens, which I really like. Where is that? Hold on. Like this. Where is that? This one was... Oh, these were all so much fun. And yeah, we're going to have the Summertime Stars group, which is going to be fun too. There's so much fun stuff. Anyways. I rambled and rambled. But... I was going through the list of people who are going to be in the next one. Sorry. This is Demi, the Ultimate Dancer. Lunex, wait, I'm going to turn on some music so it's not just me talking in silence. Also, apologies if I'm losing my train of thought. I have not eaten in a long time at this point. I'll eat right after this, though, I promise. Anyways, Despair Downpour. There's going to be Demi, the Ultimate Dancer. Lunex, Lunex Cruiser, the Ultimate Rebel Leader. Bo Astra, the Ultimate Tour Guide. Jinx Yosei, the Ultimate Fae. Draco, the Ultimate Cryomancer. Kaifer, the Ultimate Researcher. Shotaro Kobayashi, the Ultimate Investigator. Scully Sinful, the Ultimate Big Bro. Althemia Melee. I have to check on the pronunciation on that. I want to make sure. The Ultimate Hawaiian Spirit. Haya, the Ultimate Innkeeper. Bajin, the Ultimate Contract Creator. Kumiho, the Ultimate Shapeshifter, which also Kumi raided earlier. Thank you, Kumi. I'm not sure if you're still here lurking, but I appreciate the raid. Crimson Cyclo, the Ultimate Musician, which I think is funny that we only had one. Oh,
Isn't that sweet?
thanks for the subject. Yes, I will eat after. I promise. I'm going to go reheat a bunch of crepes. I made them all this morning and then I stopped being hungry. After the medication kicked in, but I am fucking starving. I would eat so many. Anyways, Crimson Cyclo, the Ultimate Musician. Finally, someone who's just straight up the Ultimate Musician. I feel like we were dancing around it for the first 2 rounds. Rain, the Ultimate Actor. Bobachino, the Ultimate Cyborg Soldier. Yukihime, the Ultimate Magus, who also has a new name. I need to add into some of these. Estella Rosa, which I will make sure to keep, or I'll have to make some change. I can't change it in the slides because it was already made. But we'll change it in the shoutout thing. Asian, who is the Ultimate Tuner. Fran, the Ultimate Dapper Bomb. And Zafira, the Ultimate Insight. Oh, I've had some really funny stuff planned for this one. And I wish I could say it. But literally the name of the first chapter would be a little bit too specific, I think. I have to go change that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm so excited. Also, I will get the trailer here. Where is it? Yes, the shareable link. Also, this trailer was like, this took so many hours to make. It's like a 3.5 minute long video and it is the most intensive editing I've ever had to do. I've never done anything like it, so there's all kinds of shit going on. Thank you, Stream Elements. But yeah. Anyways, now that we've discussed who's going to be in the next one and everything else, let's see who's live that we can raid out to. We're going to see if it's anybody else who's still any of our participants. Ooh, wait. Let me see. So by the sounds of it, maybe, but maybe not. Okay. We will raid out to, speaking of Puppo, we'll raid out to Puppo, who's playing Soul Link, Heart Gold, and I think it's maybe just both in Heart Gold with Sir Midnight VT. But yeah, here are raid messages. Raid 1, if you are a subscriber, to get the fancy fun little emotes. Oh god. Yes, Puppo. Before I do, oh no. What's next? What before we do? I won't hit the raid button yet, but just let me know. And that's also the raid message for everybody else.
Aw, isn't that sweet?
You're silly. Thank you for the gifted sub, Jinx. Anyways, alright. We're gonna raid out to the lovely Good Boy Shiba Inu VTuber Puppo Lostville, one of the survivors of the Fall of Hope round. And one of the people who will be re-emerging in the Sunday round. So I'm dying a little bit. Whether here for some of the stream, all of the stream, bits and pieces, etc., etc. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've had fun. I hope you'll be able to come back for the next few. Again, Saturday, it'll be at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That was the time this one was supposed to start too. I apologize if it started late. And on Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for the Summertime Stars group. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so glad people are having fun. Be sure to say hi to Puppo for me, and I will see you guys soon, okay? Goodbye.